Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel Friendship System, Deadpool is my best friend. Chapter 41. The old man was sitting on the ground, and the old man was sitting on the ground. Inside the conference room of the Fisk building. The interior decoration is extremely luxurious, but it does not lose the cold atmosphere. A group of gangsters sat around the oval conference table. Their faces were different, some were gloomy, some were cunning, and some were cruel. Their eyes were like the north wind on a winter night, cold and biting. They wore a variety of suits, from smooth silk to stiff wool, which undoubtedly revealed their unique taste. However, even the most gorgeous clothes could not hide the fact that they were low-class people from Hell's Kitchen. When the door was pushed open and Chen Ye walked into the conference room, the air seemed to solidify. He slowly walked to the other end of the table, sat in the main seat, and then quietly scanned the people in the venue. The eyes of the gang leaders stayed on his face for a moment, and then quickly moved away. Emotions surged in their hearts, awe, curiosity, disdain, and even a hint of surprise. At this time, the atmosphere in the conference room suddenly became tense, as if everyone was silently counting the time in their hearts, waiting for the drama to be staged. Jin Bing seemed to have no objection to Chen Ye sitting in the main seat. Jin Bing sat to the lower right of Chen Ye. Seeing that the time was almost up, Jin Bing immediately waved his hand and signaled everyone to be quiet. Then he said, "Thank you all for giving me Jin Bing this face, so I won't steal the show. Today, we are gathered here. I believe everyone knows that it was my godson Chen Ye who invited everyone. Let him speak below." Chen Ye immediately said, "Hello, all the garbage living in hell." His voice was low and magnetic, as if there was a kind of magic that no one present could ignore. As soon as this was said, the leaders were like a pot of boiling water, and they all started to curse. "Chen Ye, what do you mean? Is this meeting for you to insult us? Who are you to say that to us?" Chen Ye calmly glanced at the gang leaders present. The only ones who were relatively calm were the leaders of the Irish and British gangs. "Isn't it? Look at the way each of you looks. Who would say that you are serious people?" The leader of the Irish gang, Tom, couldn't help but say at this time. "Let's get to the point quickly. We are not here for you to mock us." Seeing this, Chen Ye also said straight to the point, "As for me, I am going to open a community college here, and basically everything has been done. You also know that it takes a lot of money to open a school. This time, the main thing is to ask you to sponsor and solve the enrollment problem by the way." Chen Ye paused, glanced around at everyone, and saw that they all had a feeling of wanting to say something but not being able to. "The most important thing is that I hope all minors under the age of 18 in Hell's Kitchen go to community college, including your family members and your gang members." As soon as this was said, there was a burst of laughter in the conference room. "Going to school, I am dying of laughter. You are asking gangsters to go to school, what's the difference between asking sows to climb trees? I have never been to school since I was born, but I am still messing around today." At this time, the gang leaders felt that Chen Ye was a little whimsical, and everyone wanted to leave. Tommy Shelby on the side asked curiously, "I can accept your conditions, but what do you have to pay?" Everyone looked at Chen Ye. Chen Ye was not flustered. "Before answering this question, I would like to ask everyone present, are you satisfied with your current life? I live on the edge of a knife every day, and I live in fear every day. I may drive a luxury car and live in a villa today. Tomorrow I will be killed by my enemies and my head and body will be separated. I believe that everyone present here must have more than dozens of lives to achieve today's achievements. Because we live in hell, this is a place where the weak are preyed on by the strong. If we want to survive, we must kill the other party, even if that person is your relative." As soon as Chen Ye's words came out, everyone was thinking silently. Chen Ye then pointed to a gang leader and asked, "Joyce Bud, I remember that your father was also a gang leader before. Have you ever thought about what you would like to do if you were not a gangster?" Joyce Bud thought for a while and then said, "I have never thought about this question, because since I can remember, I just followed my dad to join the gang. I have never done anything else except the gang." Chen Ye then said, "See, you have no choice at all. Your parents have never taught you what is the right thing to do, nor have they told you that you can actually be an athlete or a teacher in addition to the gang. Some people's parents may even die in gang fights when they are just born. Here in Hell's Kitchen, we can only think about how to live every day, and live by any means. We have no choice, and we have no time to think, we can only try our best to live. If there is a choice, would you still want to live like this? Chen Ye can clearly feel that some gang leaders have agreed with what he said. Everyone here, even if you are a gang leader now, we will still be despised when we walk out of Hell's Kitchen, because we are born with the label of Hell's Kitchen. In the eyes of outsiders, Hell's Kitchen is a group of unforgivable garbage, the dregs of society. People outside always look at us with tinted glasses. They don't know our pain because no one speaks for us. It's not our fault to be born in hell. But if we don't change, it's our fault. The reason why I set up a school is that the school can give children choices, and children can think about the life they want in school safely. Don't let the next generation follow our old path. It's enough for hell to have a group of scum like us. Chen Ye said passionately. Jin Bing next to him looked at Chen Ye in front of him with a very gratified look. If there were schools back then, perhaps there would not be today's underground emperor Jin Bing. Are you sympathizing with us now? A gang leader didn't buy it. Chen Ye stared at the gang leader coldly. You don't deserve my sympathy, and you don't need my sympathy. This is your own choice. We are a bunch of bastards born in hell. Will you stop selling drugs and pimping if you get some sympathy? Bastards have to eat too. I just want you to sympathize with minors. Give them a chance to go to heaven. As for whether they want to go to heaven or stay in hell in the future, that is their own choice. I am not a saint, and I don't want to be a saint. I am just like you, a bastard living in hell. The only difference may be that I have a conscience than you bastards. After Chen Ye finished speaking, he glanced at the expressions of the gang leaders present. Their faces were different. Some became ashamed, some were thoughtful, but most of them were indeed impatient. After all, those who can become gang leaders are all hard-hearted and ruthless. They will not be moved by Chen Ye's words. Everyone cares more about interests. Chapter 42. The Mexican gang leader Gust had had enough of Chen Ye's nagging, and his originally rough face became a little distorted because of impatience. His eyes were like knives, staring at Chen Ye, and there was a dangerous light flashing in his deep black eyes. You are so annoying. He interrupted Chen Ye rudely, I don't care whether those kids go to school or not. They can make a lot of money by selling drugs with me. They don't even need to go to school. Anyway, I will touch anyone who touches my people. Gust's voice was full of threats, as if anyone who dared to touch his bottom line would be ruthlessly hit. Me too. Right. Some gang leaders began to whisper, and they were obviously dissatisfied with Chen Ye's preaching. Seeing someone take the lead and confront Chen Ye, some gang leaders followed suit. However, in this group of opposition, Chen Ye did not show any panic or uneasiness. He looked at the gang leaders coldly, revealing an indescribable majesty in his eyes. Before Chen Ye could speak, Tom, the leader of the Irish gang, chuckled softly, and then said to Chen Ye, Young man, you are still too young. You think you can take our interests from us without paying any price. For us, interests are more important than life. Here, the least valuable thing is human life. Where is this? This is Hell's Kitchen. Preaching and persuading us will not work for us. We can stand out in this hell because we are ruthless. We have long sold our souls to the devil. You are also from hell. Don't you know the rules of our hell? Tom's voice was full of teasing and contempt. Chen Ye was silent for a moment, then calmly replied. I don't want to be your enemy, I just hope you can understand that education is the real way to change their fate. The children are innocent. They have been hated by people outside with sins since they were born. They don't even know what crimes they have committed. What did they do wrong? Is it wrong for them to be born in this world? They can't even speak or walk yet, but they need to carry the label of Hell's Kitchen, so that others can look at them with strange eyes. This is unfair to them. I know the world is inherently unfair. So there is no naivety to change this world. I just want to give them a chance. Let them prove that it is not their fault to be born in hell. They don't have the power to choose whether to be born in heaven or hell, but we can give them the power to choose, whether to choose to stay in this cruel hell with us bastards, or to climb out of this quagmire called Hell's Kitchen and never come back. His voice was firm and powerful, although he knew that in this violent and bloody Hell's Kitchen, such words might not be accepted. Chen Ye said what he should say, and Chen Ye didn't know how much the gang leaders present heard. Anyway, Chen Ye tried his best, and as for the rest, let's use strength to speak. Then Chen Ye stood up, glanced at the people present, and said domineeringly. Also, I'm not discussing with you this time. I'm just informing you that if you don't accept it, then follow the rules of Hell's Kitchen and fight one-on-one. Chen Ye paused, pointed his finger at the leaders present. I'll fight all of you alone, whoever doesn't accept it, go back. The winner will be decided in Hell's Kitchen tonight. You should call people when you need to. I know that all the leaders present have their own back UPS. It's better to call them all today, otherwise I'm afraid you won't have the chance to use them again. Also, leaders who are willing to sponsor, we can stay and discuss the issue of school sponsorship fees. Chen Yi's words officially ignited the anger of the gang leaders. Gust pointed at Chen Ye and said, Okay, you have guts. Wait for me tonight. I have been annoyed with you for a long time. Hell's Kitchen does not allow people who break the rules. Other gang leaders also stood up. They were angered by Chen Yi's provocation and expressed their willingness to fight Chen Ye to the end. They did not think that Chen Ye, a young boy, could fight against all of them. Face these angry. The gang leaders were fearless, and he knew that he had to speak with strength. Chen Ye will face the siege of many gang leaders. He must show amazing strength and wisdom to survive in such a battle. This battle is not only about his honor, but also about the future of the school and children behind him. Jin Bing, who was standing aside, knew that there would be a big drama in Hell's Kitchen today. He had witnessed the rise and fall of too many gangs, and he also knew that the gang leaders who opposed Chen Ye at the meeting today would stand here in this capacity for the last time. With a trace of pity in his eyes, he looked around at these people who were about to embark on a road of no return. Jin Bing knew in his heart that the resistance of these gang leaders to Chen Ye was tantamount to hitting a rock with an egg. He shook his head helplessly, watching their backs leave angrily one by one. He knew that after they returned, they would definitely gather their men and prepare to fight Chen Ye. And this battle, they had no chance of winning. In that case, then take care and I won't see you off. I'll be waiting for you in Hell's Kitchen today. In the meeting room, Chen Yi's expression remained calm. He knew the intentions of these gang leaders, and also understood their anger and disdain for him. Chen Ye also knew clearly that today there would definitely be more than just gang members, the forces behind them would also take action. The gang leaders who opposed Chen Ye left the meeting room one after another, their faces were gloomy, and their eyes were full of determination. After they returned, they immediately began to gather their men to prepare for the coming storm. They vowed to make Chen Ye pay the price and let the outsiders know that their gang still has the final say in Hell's Kitchen. After a while, only a few gang leaders were left sitting in the huge meeting room. What surprised Chen Ye was that Tommy Shelby, the leader of the British gang, was still here. Tommy Shelby felt Chen Yi's gaze and slowly said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm different from those barbarians who only use brute force. I agree with opening a school. I can help you deal with them, but you have to pay enough benefits." Then Shelby paused and looked at Kingpin and Vongola I beside Chen Ye. Vongola I understood and patted Chen Ye on the shoulder, "I'll go back and prepare first. I'll take care of the gangs in the central area." Then he turned and left. Chen Ye waved his hand, "It's okay, we are all family, and Uncle Kingpin is the boss of Hell's Kitchen. Tell me what you want in detail." In the entire huge conference room, only Chen Ye and the other two were left to discuss the distribution of benefits. "I want the territory of the Irish gang." Tommy Shelby said straight to the point. Chapter 43. The news that Chen Ye was going to fight the people in Hell's Kitchen spread like wildfire, and the whole Hell's Kitchen was boiling. There was a tense atmosphere in the air, as if an invisible storm was brewing. Those residents who were strolling around were stunned when they heard the news at first, and then they quickened their pace and hurried home. Their faces were full of worry and uneasiness, as if they had a premonition of something terrible about to happen. The small vendors in Hell's Kitchen also closed their business early, and even nailed wooden boards to their shops to prevent them from being affected by the war at night. They stood at the door, looking at the gradually dimming colors in the sky, and their hearts were full of helplessness and worry. Chen Ye, however, walked towards the restaurant leisurely, as if nothing had happened to him. His eyes were firm, with a barely perceptible smile on his face. He knew that this battle was inevitable, but he was not afraid. Because he had confidence and believed that he could overcome everything. On the narrow streets, residents were busy on their way. However, when they saw Chen Ye, they all stopped. Some made a cheering gesture to him, which was a silent encouragement and support. Their eyes were full of admiration, because they knew that Chen Ye was fighting for the future of Hell's Kitchen. Others were worried about him. After all, this struggle was not easy. "Come on, young man. As soon as the school starts, I will send my children there as soon as possible. A middle-aged woman shouted to him. Her voice was full of trust and gratitude, because she knew that everything Chen Ye did was for the future of the children. Chen Ye, thank you for everything you have done for Hell's Kitchen. I hope you can succeed. An old man patted his shoulder, his eyes full of expectations. Chen Ye felt the expectations of the residents, which made him more determined. He knew that this struggle could only succeed, not fail. He could not let the residents down, and he could not let his efforts go to waste. Unconsciously, Chen Ye returned to the restaurant. John Wick, Pietro, Deadpool, Dr. Ethan and others seemed to have made an appointment to wait for Chen Ye's return downstairs. Even Deadpool, who went out to earn extra money last night, came back. They gathered together and looked at Chen Ye with firm eyes. Chen Ye was very satisfied when he saw the group of people in front of him. I still have a group of friends. I will not lose. Why are you standing at the door? You are not worried about me, just stay inside. Chen Ye said with a smile, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. However, his friends did not respond to his words, but just followed him silently. They knew that in the next period of time, they would fight side by side for the future of Hell's Kitchen. In a corner of the restaurant, the discussion was going on, and the atmosphere was tense and solemn. Chen Ye, a young man with a heavy responsibility, swept everyone present with a serious look. The light in the restaurant was dim, but his eyes were as sharp and firm as a sword. Our opponents are not simple. Chen Ye's deep voice echoed in the restaurant. The Irish gangs in the West District, the Mexican gangs in the South District, and the Hand and Society behind them, SHIELD, these are the forces we must be vigilant against. At this moment, Chen Ye did not know that the Brotherhood of Mutants had also come to Hell's Kitchen, and their target was him. We must go all out for tonight's operation. Chen Ye said firmly. I have already negotiated with the British gang in the North District about the Irish gang in the West District. They will provide us with the necessary support. Uncle Jin Bing will take care of this. The Vongola family in the Midtown District will also help us deal with those small gangs. As for the Shield combat team behind the Mexican gang in the South District, Master Ye and Lao Ma, they will be handed over to you. Is there any problem? Chen Ye looked at Master Ye and Lao Ma and asked. After all, no matter how big the Mexican gang is, there are only ordinary people inside. Chen Ye believes that Lao Ma can solve it with a legendary killer, and Shield will be handed over to Master Ye. These two people should be able to solve it. No problem, I will not show mercy to drug dealers. Master Ye said confidently. If I am not mistaken, you should have reinforcements. Chen Ye said deeply, his eyes revealing an indescribable wisdom. The gangs are actually nothing to be afraid of. The most important thing is the Hand and the Society. The Hand and the Society will be handed over to Deadpool, Pietro and John. Deadpool, you can continue to earn your pocket money. Remember to bring me your dog Deadpool. You still understand me, my dear Chen Ye? Tell me, are you in love with me? Deadpool asked teasingly, with a cynical smile on his face. As for Dr. Ethan, do you want to take Xiao Ye to Tony's place? Of course, you can stay in the apartment. I promise that no one can hurt you. Ethan smiled, I am not a burden, don't worry. Give me a gun, I will stay in the restaurant and fight alongside you. I will protect Xiao Ye. Seeing this, Chen Ye did not say much. Chen Ye paused and continued, I will stay in the restaurant and take command. If there is any emergency, I will notify you in time. At the same time, I must also be alert to possible enemies. Time passed in a tense and orderly atmosphere. Everyone was busy preparing for the upcoming battle. Chen Ye sat quietly in the corner of the restaurant, his eyes deep and firm, as if thinking about something. In fact, Chen Ye was talking to the system in his mind to see if he could provide help for the upcoming battle. When Chen Ye opened the system, he was frightened by a large number of system prompts. Congratulations to the host, Hell's Kitchen Resident D successfully added the host as a friend. Congratulations to the host, Hell's Kitchen Resident E successfully added the host as a friend. Congratulations to the host, Hell's Kitchen Resident. Chen Ye looked at the time of the system prompt, and it turned out that it was a prompt when Chen Ye just walked from Fisk Daxia to the restaurant. System, how many friend points do I have now? Currently there are 603 friend points which can be exchanged for 6 family points. Do you want to exchange? The system asked. Exchange. Give me a lottery. System Chen Ye said in his mind. Congratulations to the host for winning, thank you for your patronage. Sure enough, this damn probability. Chen Ye cursed. Go on, system. Draw all 5 for me. Chen Ye said with his eyes closed. Chen Ye closed his eyes and waited silently. Ding, the draw is complete. Congratulations to the host for drawing. Congratulations to the host for drawing the Lost Drive. Congratulations to the host for drawing the Eternal Memory. Chen Ye vaguely remembered Kamen Rider Eternal's catchphrase, come on, enjoy it in hell. Chen Ye looked at the 2 items and muttered to himself, Kamen Rider Eternal? Hell? It really suits me. System, is this really just a coincidence? Chapter 44. The old man was in a hurry to get out of the door. Hell's Kitchen. At this time, the 3 Deadpools followed the dog Deadpool and came to the door of the secret base of the hand. Looking at the building in front of him, the dog Deadpool sniffed his nose, then turned his head and said to John Wick and others, they should be in this building. John Wick, the legendary killer who has experienced many battles, was about to arrange tactics, but was startled by Deadpool's actions. I saw Deadpool pull out 2 knives from his back, and the blades flashed coldly under the light. He shouted, my money, your Deadpool grandfather is here. Then he rushed into the building without hesitation. Pietro on the side seemed to be accustomed to this. He put on goggles and followed closely. John Wick couldn't help but sigh. It was the first time he saw such a reckless way of fighting. He muttered to himself, are the boss's people so fierce? Shouldn't we sneak attack? At this time, the 2 members of the hand at the gate of Daxia saw Deadpool rushing over, and one of them immediately took out a walkie-talkie. Enemy attack! Deadpool would not give them a chance to spread the news. He rushed forward like a flash of lightning, and the knife in his hand drew a beautiful arc, directly splitting the hand member in half. Before the other member could press the alarm, Pietro moved to his side in an instant and knocked him to the ground with a punch. Then Pietro turned to John Wick and said, don't dilly-dally, these rubbish, just rush over. Deadpool took out his mobile phone to take pictures of the corpse, and then shouted, hurry up, don't delay me making money. After that, the 2 walked towards Daxia, and the dog Deadpool jumped up and continued to lead the way for the 2. Seeing this, John Wick held his forehead with one hand and looked up at the sky, it seems that I am not needed very much. Then he rushed into the building together. Inside the building, the security personnel had heard the sound of the intercom and found Pietro and others in the monitoring room. The alarm system of the building was immediately sounded. As the alarm sounded, the entire building of the hand seemed to be injected with vitality, and the originally quiet corridor instantly became lively. Countless hand killers came out in droves, their eyes flashed with coldness and determination, and they were obviously fully prepared. Deadpool and others who had just entered Daxia were intercepted by 6 killers wearing hand uniforms and holding pistols. These killers had no expression on their faces, as if they were just cold-blooded machines. These hand killers quickly shot at them. Facing the dense bullets fired at them, Deadpool seemed unusually relaxed. He held 2 knives in his hands and shouted, don't move, watch your grandpa Deadpool perform. Deadpool moved at a dazzling speed. He chopped off the flying bullets with one hand, his movements were smooth and natural, as if he was born with such ability. Then, he combined the 2 knives, and his wrists turned faster and faster, forming a dazzling knife flower. The dazzling light seemed to illuminate the entire corridor. The 6 gunmen saw that Deadpool's knife chopped the bullets, and they were not surprised, and they kept shooting at Deadpool. Until the pistols had used up all the bullets. The 6 gunmen saw that they had emptied the magazines, and they were very surprised to see that Deadpool on the opposite side was still like a normal person. Then they drew their knives and rushed towards Deadpool. Deadpool was still showing off and said to the stunned John Wick, I am handsome, don't be fascinated by me. John Wick wanted to slap himself when he saw Deadpool's body full of bullet holes. Just now, he really believed that Deadpool could block all the bullets with a knife. John, you don't really think he blocked the bullets with a knife, he just relied on his immortality to show off. Pietro couldn't stand Deadpool's show off, he directly used his ability and rushed to the front of the 6 hand and society killers in an instant. His speed was so fast that no one could react in time. The next second, the 6 hand and society killers took off directly and hit the ceiling and walls violently. Bang, bang, bang. The collision sounded, and when the 6 killers landed, their life breath had disappeared. Pietro's eyes flashed with cold light, and he was obviously not surprised by such a result. At this time, Murakami was sitting on the sofa in the room on the top floor of the building, thinking about something. Suddenly, the alarm in the building sounded loudly. A shrill alarm echoed in the hall. His brows slightly frowned, and a trace of doubt flashed across his face. The next second, the door of the room was knocked, and a man dressed as a ninja with a short sword on his back walked in. This person was Murakami's apprentice Xin. Xin came to Murakami and bowed his head and said, "It was Chen Yi's people who broke into the building. The people on the first floor have been dealt with." Murakami didn't care when he heard that the people on the first floor had been dealt with. Then Murakami stood up and said, "After all, it's still a step too late. Since the guests are here. Xin, come with me to greet our guests." Xin immediately nodded respectfully when he heard this, "Yes, master." He followed closely and stood behind Murakami. The two walked out of the room and entered a long corridor. The corridor was dimly lit, with only a few faint lights in the distance. The two walked in the corridor, and only heard footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. At this time, Deadpool and his group had already reached the third floor via the stairs. Deadpool kept complaining, "Why don't you take the elevator? You have to take the stairs." Lord Deadpool hates taking the stairs the most. When John Wick heard Deadpool's complaints, the corners of his mouth twitched unconsciously. Taking the elevator is too dangerous. If the enemy throws a bomb or something, there is nowhere to run. Not everyone has the ability to be immortal like Deadpool. So for his own safety, John Wick had to persuade Deadpool to agree to climb the stairs. As soon as they entered the third floor, several fully armed tactical teams with machine guns had been waiting for a long time, and they fired at the three people and the dog who entered the door. Da-da-da-da. The bullets attacked Deadpool and others as if they were free. Seeing the bullets about to hit the three people, the members of the tactical team showed a ferocious smile on their faces, as if they saw a scene of blood and flesh flying. Seeing the bullets coming, just as Deadpool was about to take action. "Leave it to me." Pietro took the lead and the next second the bullets that were coming at them were turned around and shot at the tactical team members. The members of the tactical team never expected that the bullets they shot would actually attack them in return. The hideous smiles on their faces had not completely disappeared before they were killed by their own bullets. All this happened too suddenly, and they fell to the ground before they even made any sound. Chapter 45. The old man was sitting on the ground, and the old man was lying on the ground. At this moment, Murakami and Nobaya came to the third floor and saw a mess. The originally magnificent hall has become dilapidated, with broken glass and furniture scattered on the ground. The Special Forces team has fallen in a pool of blood, and it is obvious that there is no breath of life. Murakami looked at everything in front of him, without showing too much expression on his face. He glanced at Nobaya, and Nobaya nodded silently, and the two exchanged glances tacitly. Slowly, Murakami and Nobaya heard the footsteps becoming clearer and clearer. Picaro and John Wick over there were still busy dealing with those miscellaneous soldiers. The weapons in their hands flashed with cold light, and every swing was accompanied by the screams of the enemy. "This one should be worth 500,000, and this one without the ninja costume is 50,000. It's unlucky. When can I see my 10 million? Deadpool did not make a move. He was taking pictures over there. He was a little tired of dealing with the soldiers and complained there. At this moment, the dog Deadpool suddenly barked loudly, "Woof, I smell two people in front. The breath of the two is heavier than the previous people." Its voice echoed in the empty corridor, which was creepy. Hearing the dog's words, John Wick and others stopped moving forward. They began to be alert, holding their weapons tightly, and preparing to deal with possible dangers. Only Deadpool showed an excited look on his face. He immediately put away his mobile phone, and his body turned into a flash of lightning, rushing forward quickly. Maybe because of the power of money, his speed was amazingly fast, as if a red lightning broke through the night sky. Deadpool soon saw two people at the end of the corridor, one old and one young, walking towards him. The old man was tall, with a dignified face and a black robe, giving people a sense of majesty without anger. The young man was thin, pale, and had a cold look in his eyes. The two were about to draw their swords to chop at Deadpool, but Deadpool suddenly took out his mobile phone and shouted, "Wait, wait! Let me see first." As he spoke, he looked down at the screen of his mobile phone. Murakami and his apprentice Shin were stunned, not understanding what Deadpool was doing. They looked at each other and saw that both of them had a puzzled expression. Deadpool was looking at his mobile phone, his fingers kept swiping the screen, and from time to time he looked up at Murakami and Shin, muttering, "Not this, not this." Then he raised his mobile phone and said loudly to Murakami, "Found it, you are my 10 million. On the mobile phone was a photo of Murakami. Murakami and Shin were confused by what Deadpool said, but they also saw that Deadpool was playing tricks on them. Shin clenched the knife in his hand, with a flame of anger burning in his eyes. He stared at Deadpool, then swung the knife fiercely. However, Deadpool easily dodged his attack at an incredible speed. "You are not my 10 million, my partners will be here soon, go find them." Deadpool quickly spit out a sentence with a playful smile on his face. Then Deadpool slashed at Murakami. Shin saw that he was ignored like this, and the guy in the red hood in front of him dared to be so rude to his master, and he became even more angry in an instant. "Come and die!" Shin roared and slashed at Deadpool's back again. Bang! A gunshot rang out. A bullet hit Xin, and Xin could only change the attack route and use his short knife to block the bullet. Then Xin looked in the direction of the bullet, and it turned out that John Wick and others had arrived. John Wick took the lead and said to Xin, "I will be your opponent." John Wick proposed a one-on-one duel. After all, he had been rowing all the way. Finally, he had an opponent, and John Wick wanted to help. Then he rushed towards Xin. The battle between the two was very fierce, and their movements were as fast as lightning, dazzling. John Wick relied on his excellent marksmanship to continuously attack Xin, while Xin relied on his many years of ninja experience to cleverly dodge Wick's bullets. John Wick constantly used the gun in his hand to close the distance, trying to fight with Xin. Just then, John Wick found Xion's flaw and shot down Xion's short knife with one shot, and then the two began to fight with bare hands. The fight between the two lasted for a long time, and the figures under the moonlight danced and danced, dazzling. The power of Xin and the speed is quite good, but John Wick's wisdom and experience are better. He kept changing his moves, sometimes attacking and sometimes defending, so that Xin couldn't figure out his movements. In the end, John Wick defeated Xin with his own ability. His movements were like a precision machine, every attack was accurate, and every defense was just right. Xin gradually became powerless in the repeated failures, and was finally defeated by John Wick. Then John Wick walked to Pietro, who was watching the show, panting, and joined the crowd watching the show. Here, Murakami easily avoided Deadpool's slash. At first, Murakami tried to suppress Deadpool with his superb swordsmanship, but Deadpool's knife skills were also not weak, and he resolved them one by one with his almost absurd fighting style. During the fight, Deadpool did not forget to tease Murakami. "You don't look very strong with 10 million. Are you too old? You are already old, why are you still fighting? I know, you are as short of money as I am. Money is a bastard, it is always spent faster than earned." Even though Murakami is an old man who has seen the world, he has never seen such a mean person as Deadpool in his life. He couldn't help but get angry in his heart, and the strength of his attack gradually increased. Murakami suddenly launched a fierce counterattack. The knife in his hand turned into lightning, which caught Deadpool off guard. Deadpool was not panicked at all, and still teased, "Wow, this move is powerful, worthy of my 10 million. At this critical moment, Deadpool blocked Murakami's attack with his almost omnipotent blade. Then, he used the force to push Murakami away. Murakami rolled several times in the air and landed steadily on the ground. Deadpool took advantage of this opportunity to look behind him, and saw that Pietro and others had already dealt with the young man who was watching quietly on the side. Deadpool also decided to get serious. "Sorry, I'm still in a hurry to collect my bounty, so I won't play with you for now. 10 million US$. Then the two sides quickly launched the second round of attack and defense. Deadpool resisted Murakami's attack with his unexpected knife skills. And Murakami used his strength and skills to break through Deadpool's defense again and again. The strength of the two was fully demonstrated on the field, and every confrontation made people hold their breath. Pietro and others on the side also watched very enjoyably. At the critical moment, Deadpool decided to take an unexpected approach. He suddenly slowed down the speed of his attack, as if deliberately giving Murakami a chance. Murakami did not expect Deadpool to do this, he began to get carried away, and his attacks became more and more wild. Just when he was about to hit Deadpool with his full force, Deadpool suddenly launched a fatal counterattack. His knife accurately pierced Murakami's heart, killing him with one blow. Murakami's shocked expression froze at that moment, he couldn't believe his failure. Deadpool also quickly took out his mobile phone. He made a yeah gesture with his hand and took a selfie with Murakami's body. Murakami, one of the leaders of the hand, died. Chapter 46. At the same time, Master Ye and Lao Ma also came to the slums where the Mexican gangs were stationed. It was the first time for Lao Ma to come to the slums. He looked around and was shocked by the scene in front of him. Those dilapidated and dangerous buildings seemed to be in danger of collapse at any time. The piles of garbage gave off an unbearable stench. Lao Ma looked at all this in the slums and couldn't help but sigh, this is really a desperate place. I thought the environment in Hell's Kitchen was bad enough. I didn't expect it to be worse than Hell's Kitchen. Although Master Ye couldn't see, he could feel that there was a sense of despair and stench here through his observation haki. He said in a deep voice, don't forget, man. This is also part of Hell's Kitchen. Aren't we here to get rid of the source of all this? Old Ma instantly understood what Master Ye meant. Their target this time was the ruler of this place, Mexican leader Gust. This man not only controls the economic lifeline of the slums, but also uses drugs and violence to oppress and exploit the residents here. No time to sigh, it seems that the other party is ready. Master Ye seemed to be able to see through everything in the perception of the domineering sense of observation. He found that more and more people with weapons were approaching them. Their footsteps, panting, and even the sound of weapons colliding could not escape Master Ye's ears. There was also a person with a very strong breath standing in the center. It seemed that the person was Gust's foreign aide, the leader of the SHIELD special team. Master Ye didn't think that a gang that started with drugs could have such a person. Then the snipers and gunmen who were ambushed around the dangerous building took the lead in attacking. The sound of bullets broke the silence of the night. Dense bullets attacked Master Ye and his team. Master Ye subconsciously raised his hand and wanted to use the power of the gravity fruit to get rid of these gunmen. But looking at those ragged, terrified and helpless homeless people hiding in the corner, Master Ye softened his heart. Master Ye couldn't bear to hurt innocent people, so he withdrew his hand, used his observation haki to dodge the bullets and quickly rushed towards the gunmen. At the same time, Lao Ma also rushed to the bunker quickly. With his extraordinary shooting skills, he fired cold shots from time to time to create trouble for the enemy. Not long after, Master Ye and Lao Ma and others solved the first wave of enemies. But before they could catch their breath, a steady stream of gangsters rushed over like a tide. Gust, who was in the center, looked at this scene on the monitor and sneered. This Chen Ye is so ignorant of life and death, and he dares to be so arrogant to send only 2 people to break into my territory. I want them to go and never come back. Send everyone forward. I will give $5 million for each head. Gust ordered arrogantly. When the younger brothers heard about the huge bounty, they immediately rushed out like chicken blood. Crossbones, the captain of the SHIELD Rapid Response Special Forces, also saw the scene on the monitor and said with disdain on his face, Mr. Gust, there are only these 2 people. Do you need our team to protect you? Gust, who was arrogant just now, suddenly became respectful, Mr. Crossbones, I am just in case. As long as you ensure that I am safe tonight, I will immediately propose to the mayor to donate $10 million to you tomorrow. Humph, then you should prepare your $10 million. Crossbones snorted coldly, and then stopped talking. Gust saw Crossbones' arrogant attitude, and his face was still flattering. But in fact, he had already cursed in his heart. If he hadn't been unable to beat the man in front of him, Gust would have thrown him to the dogs. At this moment, Lao Ma seemed a little overwhelmed by the enemies pouring in like a tide. But they still resisted tenaciously, relying on their superb body skills and tacit cooperation, they resisted the enemy's attacks again and again. Master Ye also understood that this couldn't go on, and then said to Lao Ma, it won't work, you hold on first. Catch the thief first, I'll kill their leader. You are responsible for killing the group of people outside. Then, without waiting for Lao Ma to react, he saw Master Ye use his ability to rise from the ground, stepping on the ground and flying towards the center. Shift, I'm just an ordinary person. Old Ma cursed at the gangsters rushing towards him. Soon, Master Ye was like a flash of lightning, quickly crossing the battlefield and coming to the open space in the center. Although he couldn't see with his eyes, it didn't affect his gaze at Gust. The Rapid Response Special Forces team on the ground also noticed the arrival of Master Ye, and they raised their weapons without hesitation. The members of the Rapid Response Special Forces are all elites who have undergone rigorous training. They are well aware of Master Ye's ability, and the weapons in their hands are special bullets carefully developed by the Shield Research Institute, which can ignore gravity. Master Ye saw that his ability could not control the bullets, so he immediately put his hands down and began to control the stones on the ground. His ability was demonstrated again, and those huge stones seemed to be pulled by an invisible force, flying and rotating in the air, forming an indestructible barrier. Afterwards, Master Ye landed safely and slowly said to Gust, "Nice to meet you, I am Kane, Chen Yi's subordinate." "Nice to meet you, I'm asking you to die." Gust, who was standing by, pretended to be calm and shouted to Crossbones, "Kill him, you protect me." Then he quickly fled to the safe house behind. Master Ye saw that Gust wanted to run, and prepared to give Gust the final blow. However, Crossbones, who was standing by, obviously didn't want him to do so, and quickly shot him twice and punched Master Ye. Although Crossbones didn't have superpowers, as a disciple of the Master of Mimicry and having defeated Captain America several times, his fighting skills were also first class. On the other side, Old Ma was struggling to resist the remaining gangsters alone. Old Ma was in a very dangerous situation. The gangsters had strong firepower, and he was just an ordinary person. He kept shooting, changing magazines, and shooting again, but the enemies seemed to never end. Old Ma began to feel desperate, and he shouted loudly, "Fuck, is there anyone to help me? I heard that you need help, man." Lao Ma turned his head sharply, but saw only darkness. He thought he had heard wrongly, or maybe he was too nervous and had hallucinations. But the voice spoke again, "I said, do you need help? Man." At this time, a man in a red tights slowly walked out of the shadows. Lao Ma widened his eyes and looked at the man carefully. "Deadpool? Did you change clothes?" Lao Ma asked in surprise. The man in front of him was also wearing a red tights, but Lao Ma still found some differences. The most obvious thing was that he did not have Deadpool's iconic facial features. Daredevil heard it and pointed at his eyes in anger and said, "I am Daredevil. I am blind, I am not wearing an eye patch." Lao Ma realized at this time that the man in front of him was not an illusion, but a real person, and a reinforcement. Chapter 47. The battle was in full swing in the noisy Hell's Kitchen. The sound of gunfire and shouting was mixed together. Local residents were used to it, but today's movement was unprecedented. As a native of Hell's Kitchen, how could Matthew Michael Murdoch not know the truth behind all this? Matthew Michael Murdoch, a well-known identity of Daredevil. This name is feared among gangsters. And his true identity is a newcomer in the legal profession. During the day, he is gentle and rational, but at night, he will become a messenger of justice, using his fists and courage to fight against the evil forces that bring chaos to Hell's Kitchen. Although Matthew hates Kingpin, he has complicated feelings towards Chen Ye. He hated Chen Ye at first, thinking that Chen Ye would be as evil as his godfather, but later he admired Chen Ye because Chen Ye did many things that Matthew could not do. First, Matthew himself was not as rich as Chen Ye. As the only blind lawyer in Hell's Kitchen, even the rent was almost a problem, so he naturally had no money to help the residents of Hell's Kitchen. Second, Daredevil did not have Chen Yi's background. Although Matthew had tried to influence the community as Daredevil, the result was not satisfactory. His power was meager, and he could not change the community as profoundly as Chen Ye and protect the neighbors. When he heard that Chen Ye was targeted by the gang for building a school for Hell's Kitchen, Matthew himself wanted to contribute to Hell's Kitchen. So Matthew decided to pick a gang with the worst reputation, and the Mexican gang was the first target of Daredevil. Daredevil said to the exhausted Lao Ma, "It looks like you are exhausted. You should take a rest first. I will take care of this." Lao Ma was unhappy after hearing what Daredevil said, and he immediately stopped. "I can fight this level of battle all day long without rest," Lao Ma said firmly, and then fired at the gangsters again. Matthew saw Lao Ma's persistence and didn't say much. Then he rushed into the chaotic gang battlefield and started his battle journey. On the battlefield, Lao Ma said to himself while fighting against the gangsters, "Why is it another blind man? I was born to team up with blind people." Lao Ma's face was full of helplessness. With the addition of the mysterious reinforcement Daredevil, Lao Ma could clearly feel that the firepower of the opponent was gradually weakening. "I believe it won't take long to get rid of everyone and end the battle." Looking at the fierce Daredevil on the battlefield, Lao Ma couldn't help but sigh, "Will becoming blind make him stronger?" In the fierce battle, Daredevil showed extraordinary fighting skills and keen perception. He seemed to be able to predict the enemy's actions in advance and always make the most correct response at the critical moment. Every attack of his was full of power and precision, which was amazing. Lao Ma and Daredevil fought side by side and cooperated tacitly. They covered each other, worked together, and approached the gangsters' positions step by step. On the other side of the battlefield, Master Ye and Crossbones were fighting fiercely. The rest of the Shield combat team had already lost their combat effectiveness and lay aside. Crossbones faced an opponent like Master Ye, and his face showed excitement. He hadn't met an equal opponent for a long time. The last opponent who could tie with him was Captain Yavukai during World War II. Your strength is indeed not to be underestimated. I haven't had such a good fight for a long time. Why didn't you use your superpower just now? Crossbones praised. Master Ye smiled and responded, thank you for the compliment. I originally wanted to have a fair duel with you, but now it seems that I may not be able to defeat you without superpowers. Next, I will use my power. Master Ye was telling the truth. The opponent in front of him was very experienced, and Master Ye did not intend to use his power at the beginning. Master Ye's ability can easily cause large-scale damage, and he will have to ask Chen Ye to pay for it later. After all, Master Ye already owed Chen Ye too many favors, and he didn't want to cause trouble for Chen Ye again. But Master Ye found that he really couldn't beat Crossbones without his power, and he was even slightly inferior, so Master Ye had no choice but to use his superpowers. Crossbones is a powerful opponent, and his attacks are swift and accurate. After catching Master Ye's distraction, at this moment, he suddenly launched a fierce attack. Although Master Ye reacted quickly, he was still hit hard by Crossbones. How dare you be distracted when fighting me? Crossbones sneered. Master Ye was not knocked down by this punch. He quickly stabilized his body. He began to adjust his state and refocus his mind. Crossbones did not give Master Ye too much time to think. He quickly launched a new round of attacks. Master Ye was agile and flexibly dodged Crossbones' attack, and at the same time used Gravity Chaos. Gravity Chaos can make the opponent feel the abnormal changes in gravity. Although Crossbones has special equipment, he still feels that his body is light and heavy, and he can't control his balance. Gravity Chaos makes Crossbones fall into extreme distress. Every attack and defense becomes extremely difficult, as if struggling in a chaotic gravity field. No matter how rich Crossbones' combat experience is, it becomes useless in such an environment. After a fierce battle, Crossbones finally couldn't adapt to this abnormal change in gravity. His movements became slower and slower, and his defense was flawed. Master Ye took the opportunity to launch a more violent attack, beating Crossbones back step by step. This battle seemed to have become a gorgeous dance. Master Ye was agile, like a bright star, shining in the dark. Although Crossbones was strong, he seemed powerless in such a battle. In the end, he was defeated by Master Ye, and the duel ended with Master Ye's victory. But Master Ye didn't kill Crossbones. After all, Crossbones was different from the gangsters in Hell's Kitchen. He was an official. If Crossbones was killed, it might cause more trouble. Besides, Master Ye's target tonight was the Mexican leader Gust from beginning to end. Then Master Ye slowly walked towards the safe house where Gust was. Gust, who was at the safe house, had arranged a helicopter to pick him up when Crossbones was at a disadvantage. When Master Ye arrived at the safe house, Gust had packed up some of his belongings and got on the helicopter. The helicopter's propellers were spinning, making a buzzing sound, and the entire plane had begun to take off slowly. Gust got on the helicopter and saw Master Ye coming, and hurriedly urged the pilot. Take off quickly, take off quickly. There was a hint of tension and fear of death in his voice. After confirming that the helicopter had taken off, Gust shouted to Master Ye below, I will be back. You wait for me. His voice was full of threats and provocations. Master Ye saw this and sighed slightly, your destination is only hell. Then he drew out his cane sword and shouted, Hell Brigade. Then he turned around and left without looking back. The next second, the helicopter suddenly lost gravity, fell to the ground in an instant, and exploded. The flames shot up to the sky, illuminating the dark sky. Gust was buried in the sea of fire, ending his sinful life. Oh no, do I have to pay for this? Master Ye scratched his head. Chapter 48. The night fell, the moonlight filled the entire restaurant street, and the silver light illuminated every corner. However, on this quiet night, only Chen Ye stood alone in the middle of the street, and his figure looked particularly lonely under the moonlight. as if he was out of tune with this world. Everyone was proceeding according to the plan. Chen Ye looked up at the sky, and in the deep black curtain, the stars flickered faintly. His eyes also flickered with a firm light, as if announcing his determination to the endless night sky. He knew that as long as tonight passed, the fate of the entire Hell's Kitchen would change. Time seemed to freeze at this moment, and faint footsteps came from a distance, breaking the tranquility. A group of black-clad figures approached slowly, their steps were steady and powerful, as if every step was provoking Chen Ye. They had ferocious expressions on their faces, and their eyes revealed a fierce light, as if they were evil spirits from hell. Those people held various weapons and approached Chen Ye step by step, as if they wanted to put him to death. They were obviously elite killers sent by the gang coalition, and each of them had a murderous look in their eyes. However, facing this seemingly aggressive black-clad figure, Chen Ye did not take it to heart. His eyes revealed a calmness and composure, as if all this was within his expectations. I can't let you disturb the rest of the residents of Hell's Kitchen. It's been noisy enough during this period. Chen Ye said coldly, his voice echoing in the night sky with an irresistible force. He instantly activated his speed force, his body turned into a flash of lightning, and instantly passed through the encirclement of those killers. His figure danced in the air, and every move was with the force of thunder. Those assassins were knocked to the ground by him before they could react. Chen Ye's block is at the easternmost part of Hell's Kitchen. It is far away from other war-torn places and is a relatively quiet pure land. He originally thought that he could temporarily stay away from the disputes in this corner, but some things just don't go as one wishes. Just as he was enjoying this rare tranquility, a heart-pounding machine roar came from the sky. Chen Ye looked up and saw an armored figure cutting through the sky and slowly landing not far from him. It was a humanoid armor, emitting a cold metallic luster. "Why are you here, Tony?" Chen Ye asked curiously. He recognized the armor. Obviously, it was Tony Stark's masterpiece. Tony Stark, who was in the armor, appeared with a hint of disappointment and alertness. He chose to remain silent about Chen Ye's question. He originally thought that Chen Ye would react with shock and admiration when he saw his armor. But Chen Ye in front of him was just curious about his appearance. Chen Ye's eyes, through the steel mask of the armor, seemed to see through his heart. He knew that Chen Ye knew that the person hidden in the armor was Tony Stark himself. This feeling of being seen through made him a little uneasy. Whether it was saving him from danger before or revealing the real culprit behind the scenes now, Chen Ye was too smart and too calm. This made Tony's heart ripple, and he began to have a new understanding of Chen Ye's unfathomable. He felt that in front of Chen Ye, he seemed to become transparent, and all his secrets were exposed. This cognition made Tony's attitude towards Chen Ye become subtle. They are friends now, but Tony knows in his heart that if they become enemies in the future, Chen Ye will undoubtedly be the most difficult existence. This Oriental man is like a double-edged sword, which can help Tony solve his difficulties, but may also give him a fatal blow at a critical moment. This complex emotion made Tony more vigilant when facing Chen Ye. He began to wonder if he should learn more about Chen Ye's past to better predict his future actions. Of course, now is not the time to think about this. "Dude, how did you know that?" Tony said as he unveiled his mechanical helmet. "Don't you think it's cool? This is my invention, my creation. Shouldn't you be shocked and admire my genius design?" Chen Ye looked at Tony and couldn't help laughing. "Tony, your narcissism is unparalleled. However, your armor is really cool, I must admit that." Tony's face showed a smile when he heard this. A satisfied smile. "Of course, I'm Tony Stark. My inventions are all first-rate. It was Ethan who contacted me and said you were in trouble and needed my help. So I came here, but it seems like you have solved it. You haven't told me yet, how do you know that the person in the mecha is me?" Tony asked curiously. Chen Ye pointed to the glowing device on Tony's chest. "Whose chest glows? Who else has the ability to build this mecha, and it's a flashy red color?" Tony looked down at his chest, and then said narcissistically, "Come on, this color is so beautiful and cool." Tony never thought he would be wrong. Chen Ye looked at Tony's smug look and couldn't help laughing. Yes, you and Deadpool have the same color. Do you want to form a group and debut? He's called Deadpool and you're called Iron Waiter." No, Iron Waiter doesn't sound cool at all. It doesn't match me at all." Tony shook his head with a look of disgust. "Iron Man, yes. Just Iron Man. Please call me Iron Man from now on." Tony suddenly said proudly. Chen Ye looked at Tony's proud expression and couldn't help but think of the confident and humorous hero he saw in the movie. He suddenly realized that although the real Tony Stark and the Iron Man in the movie have many similarities, there are also many differences. They are both so confident and proud, but Tony's confidence and pride are more real and kind. Tony, do you think you are Iron Man? Chen Ye asked suddenly. Tony was stunned for a moment, then smiled, no, I'm not Iron Man. I am Tony Stark, and Iron Man is just one of my inventions. But I know that there is only one Iron Man in the world, and that's me. Just as Chen Ye and Tony were chatting, they were interrupted by a slowly approaching figure. An old man wearing an ancient helmet appeared, his steps were steady and calm, and he was followed by a man and a woman. This person is Magneto of the Brotherhood of Mutants, and the two behind him are Magneto's men, Pyro and Nightwalker. Pyro's ability is to control flames within a certain range, but he can only control flames, not create flames. So he wears a lighter all year round. Nightwalker is a mutant with the ability to move quickly over short distances and sense mutant genes. Magneto said to Chen Ye, it seems that I have disturbed your party. I heard that you are also a mutant. Are you interested in joining our Brotherhood of Mutants? His voice was full of charm and confidence. Chen Ye frowned when he saw the visitor, and asked uncertainly, are you Magneto? Natasha and Hawkeye, agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., have been closely monitoring Chen Ye's actions. At this moment, they also noticed the arrival of Magneto and his party. I didn't expect that Magneto would come to Chen Ye in person. If Chen Ye also joins the Brotherhood of Mutants, then the Brotherhood of Mutants will be greatly strengthened. I need to report this to Director Fury immediately. Hawkeye frowned and said. I guess with Chen Ye's character, he shouldn't join Magneto's group. However, with the information we have now, Chen Ye may not be able to beat Magneto. Natasha analyzed calmly. This is also good, maybe both sides can lose. Natasha's mouth curled up a sneer. What a joke, it's not that I look down on Chen Ye, but I don't think Chen Ye has the strength to lose to Magneto. Because Hawkeye knew from the information in S.H.I.E.L.D. that Magneto is a powerful mutant with the ability to control magnetic fields. Almost no one can defeat him. Basically, those who go against Magneto will either become dead or his subordinates. Chapter 49. The old man was very happy. This billionaire and genius inventor Tony Stark has always been the focus of everyone's attention. He is under the Flash, and his every move can cause a sensation in the business, technology, and entertainment circles. However, in this place, he was ignored, which made him feel extremely unhappy. Of course, the smart Tony saw that Chen Ye on the side was very vigilant and not as indifferent as usual. It seems that the old man in front of him is not simple. It looks like an enemy, not a friend. Then Iron Man put on his helmet and asked Magneto and Jarvis, scan who this person is for me. There was a hint of seriousness and alertness in his voice. Chen Ye was also a little curious about why Magneto noticed him. He looked at Magneto and said lightly, I'm sorry, I have no interest in your brotherhood. Magneto. Although his voice was calm, it was firm and unquestionable. At this moment, the air seemed to freeze. The atmosphere between Chen Ye and Magneto became tense. Hearing Chen Ye's answer, Magneto's subordinate fireman took the lead before responding. Our boss asked you to join, but you are so ungrateful. His flame rushed towards Chen Ye, and a hot breath came to his face. However, just as fireman launched the attack, Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man, reacted quickly. He flew into the air and cleverly avoided fireman's attack. At the same time, Tony's right-hand armor instantly transformed into a powerful weapon. A laser cannon shot out from his hand, pointing directly at fireman. The powerful energy beam instantly extinguished fireman's flame. Fireman was stunned by the power and stopped attacking. He didn't expect the mecha in front of him to have such strength. It seems that we need to install the fire extinguishing function on the mecha when we go back. Jarvis, remember this. Iron Man said a little dissatisfied after landing. Nightwalker beside him also saw that Tony was not simple, so she joined the battlefield. She moved instantly and appeared in front of Tony like a ghost. Without any extra movements, she kicked Tony directly. Although Iron Man's armor was powerful, it was still caught off guard by this sudden attack and was kicked out. At this time, Chen Ye stood in place, watching Tony fight with the two mutants with interest. He did not make a move. On the one hand, he had to be wary of Magneto, and on the other hand, he didn't think Tony would lose. Fireman and Nightwalker cooperated seamlessly. One attacked from a distance and the other fought in close combat, which made Tony quite difficult to deal with. After all, it was the first time for Tony to fight in a mecha and he was beaten back step by step. Despite this, Tony did not show any panic. With his extraordinary wisdom and Jarvis analysis, he tried hard to find the opponent's weaknesses. Although the fire of the fireman is fierce, his attack mode is single and easy to predict, and although the night girl is flexible and changeable, she lacks strength. Tony analyzed every detail in the armor, and at the same time used his rich combat experience to try to find a breakthrough. In this fierce battle, Tony showed amazing strength and wisdom. Under Chen Yi's gaze, Tony gradually found a way to deal with it. He used the quick responsibility of the mecha to successfully resist the fireman's flames, and at the same time used the power defect of the night girl to cleverly subdue her. As the battle progressed, the fireman and the night girl gradually fell into a disadvantage. At this time, Magneto finally reacted. He looked at the scene in front of him with a frown. He did not want to lose the two men, the fireman and the night girl. Magneto's face gradually became gloomy, and he felt a strong threat. His hand trembled slightly, and a strong magnetic force was released from his hand, attacking Tony like a violent torrent. Chen Yat, who had been paying attention to Magneto, also took action immediately at this time. Chen Ye threw a red light at Tony with his right hand, resisting Magneto's magnetic force. "Old man, sneak attack is not what you should do. Your opponent is me," Chen Ye said jokingly with a playful smile on his face. Tony on the other side also noticed something was wrong, and instantly stepped back to distance himself and returned to Chen Ye. "Let me deal with this old man, who dared to sneak attack me just now," Tony Stark said vigilantly. "Let me do it, you are not his opponent. With your mecha, aren't you going to give it to me?" Chen Ye looked at Tony's mecha speechlessly, and Magneto crushed it with one hand. Chen Ye walked forward on his own. Tony seemed to understand that he was impulsive. After all, he knew that the old man in front of him was the famous Magneto, who just happened to restrain him. "It seems that I have to study a set of anti-Magneto mecha when I go back," Tony muttered in a low voice with unwillingness on his face. Magneto still looked at Chen Ye with a calm expression, as if waiting for his next move. He didn't seem to worry about how much threat Chen Yi's superpowers could pose to him. "Your superpowers may not be useful to me, right?" Magneto said playfully. "Who said I want to use superpowers against you?" There was a hint of mystery in Chen Yi's tone. Chen Ye took out a belt with his left hand and put it on his waist. He took out something like a USB flash drive with a striking letter E engraved on it with his right hand. "Eternal." Chen Ye gently pressed the USB flash drive, and the USB flash drive made a sound. The USB flash drive was inserted into the slot of the belt, and Chen Yi's tone became firm. "Transform." As soon as the words fell, a dazzling light burst out from Chen Ye, and the light seemed to contain endless power. After the light gradually dissipated, a brand new image appeared in front of Tony and Magneto. Chen Ye has transformed into a knight wearing white and blue armor, wearing a white mask and a black cloak, exuding a powerful aura. His cloak fluttered in the wind, as if symbolizing endless glory and power. Tony and Magneto's men stared at the scene in front of them with wide eyes. They didn't expect Chen Ye to have the ability to transform. This mysterious knight left a deep impression on them. Tony looked at Chen Yi's outfit in front of him and muttered in a low voice, "It seems that I also need to add a cloak to my mecha. It looks pretty handsome. How come this equipment has its own sound effects?" Magneto himself was quite surprised and relieved to see the scene. The young man in front of him could really surprise him. After the transformation, Chen Ye straightened his chest and scanned the crowd with a majestic look. He waved his cloak with his hand, and then said the classic line of Kamen Rider Eternal to Magneto. "Come on, enjoy the fun of hell." At this moment in a certain world, a man with a magenta camera was drinking coffee elegantly. Suddenly, he seemed to feel something and smiled evilly. "Hey, it's really interesting. I seem to feel that a new world has given birth to Kamen Rider again." Chapter 50. The old man was very angry. "I haven't fulfilled my wish yet, so I won't go to hell so early. It looks pretty good, but I don't know how strong it is. Don't you know that my ability can restrain these steel mechas inside?" Magneto was curious, but he still chose to take the lead. He slowly stretched out his hand, and a strong magnetic force was released from his hand, trying to use magnetic force to control Chen Ye. But no matter how he tried, Chen Ye stood like a stone statue. Chen Ye looked at Magneto with a surprised expression, and couldn't help laughing in his heart. Chen Ye seemed to see Magneto's doubts. He knew that Magneto's magnetic force had a strong control over the steel mecha, but the problem was that the masked man used a leather suit to hit him. As we all know, the masked man used leather suits, which did not contain any steel. How could your magnetic force be useful? Magneto was not angry after hearing this. After all, he was a man who had seen the world. He still had his unique smile on his face, as if everything was under his control. He grabbed the void with both hands, and the cars on both sides of the street immediately hung in the air, as if being pulled by an invisible force. Then, he waved his hands, and those suspended cars rushed towards Chen Ye like fired shells. Chen Ye stood there, not panicking at all. He calmly observed the situation. Chen Ye raised his leg slowly, aimed at one of the cars, and suddenly performed a roundhouse kick. The car was immediately kicked and rolled over, drawing a perfect arc in the air, and then fell heavily to the ground. Surprisingly, every roundhouse kick was accompanied by a blue flame, as if Chen Ye had a mysterious power. Hey, old man, don't be like this is my territory. Chen Ye was obviously distressed that these cars were destroyed, and he didn't want his territory to be messed up. He pressed the USB flash drive on his belt again. Eternal Requiem, weapon. As soon as he finished speaking, a ray of light burst out from the USB flash drive, and then condensed into a sharp little dagger in his hand. This dagger exuded a cold light, and it was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. Ye held the dagger tightly and rushed towards Magneto. His eyes were firm and sharp, like a tiger coming down the mountain, and no one could stop his edge. On the street, the two of them fought back and forth, and started a fierce battle. Magneto controlled heavy objects such as cars and rails with his powerful magnetic force and launched continuous attacks. While Chen Ye fought back with his new power, Kamen Rider External. Because the two's attacks were too intense, their attacks were as fierce as a storm, and the energy waves were surging in the air, as if they were going to tear the sky apart. Tony and Magneto's two men had already retreated a lot, fearing that they would be hurt by the aftermath of their attacks. How can this Chen Ye be so strong? I didn't expect him to fight with our boss for so long. And why does his cape seem to be welded and never fall off no matter what? The fireman next to him sighed as he looked at the scene. There was a gleam of admiration in his eyes, and it was obvious that Chen Ye's strength convinced him. It would be great if Chen Ye joined our brotherhood, so that I could spend every day with him. The Night Walker said infatuatedly, her eyes revealing her admiration for Chen Ye. Humans always admire the strong, and Chen Ye's powerful strength undoubtedly made her heart beat. What's more, the men in the Brotherhood are all weird, there are hedgehogs with thorns all over their bodies, and there are toads, but there are few normal people. If Chen Ye knew the mind of the Night Walker, he might feel a little helpless. After all, he didn't have much interest in Nige. Tony Stark was watching the battle from the side, his brows were furrowed, and his eyes showed a thoughtful look. He was obviously shocked by Chen Ye's performance, and began to seriously consider how to deal with this powerful opponent if he became an enemy with Chen Ye. Jarvis, record the whole process, I want to know all the data of Chen Ye's armor. Tony ordered, his tone full of determination. He not only wants to understand Chen Ye's strength, but also get inspiration from it in order to upgrade his steel armor. Damn it, I must upgrade my armor when I go back this time. And I have to go back to study the anti-Chen Ye armor before I can do it. Tony. Stark said unwillingly. This battle was an important revelation for Tony. He began to realize that he needed to keep improving in order to deal with stronger enemies. He was determined to upgrade his armor after returning, and even began to conceive a research and development plan for anti-Chen Ye armor. This battle not only made him see the strength of Chen Ye, but also inspired his determination to pursue higher technology. Kid, you have such strength, why are you willing to wander around in this small and chaotic Hell's Kitchen? Magneto temporarily blocked Chen Ye's attack. He took a deep look at the young man and couldn't help feeling a little regretful. Chen Ye smiled slightly, with a firm light flashing in his eyes, this is my home. But Hell's Kitchen is not your end point. You have the ability to go to a better place. Magneto frowned. He didn't understand the stubbornness of this young man. How can anyone dislike their hometown? It is precisely because it is Hell's Kitchen that I should stay and change it. I am not the kind of person who chooses to escape when encountering difficulties. Chen Ye's tone was full of determination. Who would dislike their hometown? It is precisely because this is Hell's Kitchen that I should stay here to change it. I don't want to be a deserter. Sorry, I will live a quiet life. You should fulfill your dream yourself. Chen Ye said nothing more and he re-entered the battle. His attack was more fierce, and every attack was firm and courageous. Magneto began to feel pressure, and his physical strength was rapidly depleted. Time seemed to slow down, and every attack and every defense became extremely slow. Magneto felt that his physical strength was draining away bit by bit, while Chen Yi's attack became more and more fierce. Finally, in a rapid attack and defense transition, Magneto revealed a flaw. Chen Ye seized this opportunity and punched Magneto heavily in the chest. Magneto flew backwards and hit the wall. He struggled to stand up, looking at Chen Ye with surprise and admiration in his eyes. Let me end this. Chen Ye pressed the USB flash drive on his belt again. External maximum drive. As the sound effect started, Chen Ye instantly jumped into the air, his right foot ignited with blue flame energy, like a burning meteor, falling rapidly, ready to give Magneto a fatal blow. Fireman and Nightwalker saw that Magneto was in danger and stepped forward to stop him. However, at this critical moment, a familiar voice suddenly sounded, breaking the tense atmosphere. Stop! Chen Ye was stunned, and subconsciously retracted his right foot that was about to fall. I saw a beautiful woman blocking Magneto, her clear eyes full of determination. Wanda, you are back. Chen Ye asked in surprise. Chapter 51. The two of them were so busy that they had to face each other. Chen Ye stopped his attack, then lifted his transformation, and his body gradually returned to normal. Then he slowly walked to Wanda, and Chen Ye showed a look of surprise and pampering. Finally, I'm willing to come back, Wanda. Chen Ye said softly. Are you okay? Chen Ye, are you injured? Wanda first stepped forward to check if Chen Ye was injured. It's okay, it's okay. Look, I'm fine. Chen Ye answered Wanda happily. Wanda walked around Chen Ye and carefully observed every part of Chen Yi's body to make sure he was not injured. Wanda was relieved. Then Wanda looked at Magneto, who was lying on the ground, with a complicated expression. In fact, when Wanda saw Chen Ye preparing to deal with Magneto, she wanted Chen Ye to deal with Magneto, the unfaithful man, for a moment. After all, Wanda had not seen this so-called father for more than 20 years, so she had no good feelings for him. Finding the biological father is one thing, and recognizing him is another. But until the last moment, Wanda decided to save Magneto first. After all, her brother had not seen his biological father. Still have to give Pietro a chance to choose, after all, he also has the right to know who his biological father is. Magneto on the side felt his heart was about to break, because he was the one who was about to be killed. Fireman and Nightwalker hurried forward to support Magneto. Tony also came over and Chen Ye teased, "Oh, Chen Ye, this is your little lover, not bad." There was a hint of teasing and joking in his tone. Chen Ye did not answer Tony's words, and his eyes never left Wanda. Their eyes met in the air, as if there was a silent emotion being transmitted. Ahem, hey, 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 pay attention. There are still people here. Tony on the side couldn't stand the couple anymore. Chen Ye turned his head awkwardly, his eyes wandering around, as if looking for something. He suggested, why don't we go into the restaurant and sit down? Chen Ye knew that Wanda had gone to find her biological father during this period, and she also found Magneto. This can also explain why Magneto, who had no intersection with her, came to the door, and Chen Ye did not feel murderous during the battle with Magneto. Wanda on the side walked into the restaurant first after hearing this, and Magneto and her two men followed shamelessly behind her. Chen Ye looked at Tony, only to see Tony refuse. Forget it, there are still a lot of things to deal with. Since it's safe here, I'll leave first. Then he put on the armored helmet and prepared to fly back. Chen Ye quickly said to Tony, wait. Thank you. Tony glanced at Chen Ye, and then took off directly. But Chen Ye could see the system prompt. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Tony Stark's favorability has been raised to 3 stars. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained an item, a new element blueprint. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 20 points of friendship. Chen Ye was a little surprised when he saw the reward this time. This time it was not an attribute, but a blueprint. He threw the blueprint back to Tony and asked him to study it himself. Although Chen Ye felt that this reward was a bit of a loss, after all, Chen Ye knew that the latest element was in the video Tony's father gave him. The current matter is the most important. Chen Ye thought about it and went straight into the restaurant. In the midtown area of Hell's Kitchen, inside the headquarters of Vongola. Vongola I, this powerful leader, his opponents are all the hostile gangs in the midtown area. His goal was clear, that is, to completely clean up all the gang forces in the midtown area, so that they could no longer gain a foothold in the midtown area. So this time, the Vongola family can be said to have mobilized all its forces. Except for Vongola I, who was in charge of the base camp, the other 7 family guardians were assigned to various battlefields in the midtown area. They each led a team, ready to fight a life and death battle with the enemy gangs. Vongola I sat on the gorgeous sofa, his eyes were firm and sharp, as if he could see through all the fog and get to the essence of things. There was a calmness and confidence on his face, which was the unique temperament given to him by years and experience. His fingers tapped the armrest of the sofa lightly, as if silently telling his determination and perseverance. This time, I should be able to fulfill the promise with Chen Ye. Vongola I and Chen Ye had a naive promise when they were young, to clean up. Eliminate all the gang forces in Hell's Kitchen and return peace to this chaotic place. That promise, for Vongola I, is not only a promise, but also a belief and pursuit. Chen Ye, his close friend, used just 1 year to eliminate all the gang forces in the East District, bringing long-lost tranquility to Hell's Kitchen. However, Vongola I failed to achieve their goal as promised. With the power of his family, although he has made some progress in the midtown area, he has not yet been able to completely eliminate the gang forces. This became a heavy stone in his heart, pressing him to the point of being breathless. He knew that Chen Ye did not mean to blame him. But he felt that he had no face to see Chen Ye, so he knew that Chen Ye had returned to Hell's Kitchen but still did not dare to see him. If it were not for the gang gathering a few days ago, Vongola I would have been embarrassed to see Chen Ye. But after today, everything has gotten better. Vongola I took a deep breath and said firmly. His eyes flashed with determination and hope, as if he had seen the victory in the future. In every corner of the midtown area, the war was raging and the smoke was everywhere. The members of the Vongola family were brave and fearless, and the weapons in their hands flashed coldly in the firelight. The people of the enemy gang were like a mob. Although they were numerous, they lacked organization and cooperation, and were soon beaten to pieces by the warriors of the Vongola family. In another corner of the city, Arnold, the guardian of the cloud, stood alone on the roof of a high-rise building. He was a lonely and arrogant man. He did not bring anyone with him and completed the cleanup of the enemy gang alone. He said to the phone in a low voice, "Next time, if it is such a rubbish mission, don't call me back." His voice was full of impatience and dissatisfaction, as if this mission was too insignificant for him. On the other hand, on another battlefield, the members of the Vongola family defeated other gangs without relying on the power of the guardians. As for their captain, the Thunder Guardian Lanbao, he was lying on the ground sleeping quietly, completely ignoring the battle around him. Finally, the Mist Guardian Despadu of the Vongola family and several other guardians completed their mission and returned to the base camp. He sat casually aside and said to Ishi, "The central city is still far from enough, otherwise we will annex other areas together." There was a spark of ambition in his eyes, as if the whole world was under his control. So far, the Vongola family has become the largest underground force in the central city. Under the system prompt that Chen Ye had not had time to look at. Congratulations to the host, Vongola I's favorability has been raised to full stars. Congratulations to the host, Vongola I has become your family. Congratulations to the host, get a little family point. Congratulations to the host, currently have 6/10 family members. Chapter 52. The old man was very happy, and the old man was very happy. Good luck to the restaurant. So you found your biological father during your time away, and that father is Magneto. Chen Ye pretended to be unaware and looked at Wanda in surprise. In fact, Chen Ye knew that Wanda's biological father was Magneto, and Aurora seemed to be Magneto's daughter. Magneto was really a scumbag. Wanda nodded. Chen Ye said with some displeasure, "So you know that Wanda is your daughter, then don't you know that I am Wanda's savior? Do you think I am easy to bully? Why don't you get out of here and follow me into my restaurant?" I wondered if this Magneto was sick. Wanda and Pietro were saved by Chen Ye, but they attacked him for no reason, which made Chen Ye think that the gangsters are so powerful now that they can invite Magneto. Chen Ye already asked himself that he was good-tempered. If it were someone else, he might have killed Magneto directly. Unexpectedly, Magneto followed him in shamelessly. Magneto's eyes were also full of dissatisfaction. Wanda is my daughter. She doesn't want to go back to the Brotherhood of Mutants with me. She said she just wants to go back to Hell's Kitchen. I followed you and I just came to see if you have the ability to protect Wanda. After all, Magneto finally knew that he had such a daughter and son, and they still had powerful superpowers. Naturally, he wanted them to join the Brotherhood and follow him to save mutants. Who knew that this daughter was unwilling to recognize him and was only willing to return to Hell's Kitchen to follow her savior Chen Yat? Magneto naturally wanted to see what kind of magic this Chen Yat had, so that Wanda could stay here. Chen Yat also made a gesture to send him away. Now you have seen my strength, you can leave. Seeing Chen Yat chasing people away, Magneto closed his eyes pretending not to see it. The night girl on the side saw Chen Yi's impatience and hurriedly added, "Our leader wants to see Pietro." There was a bit of earnestness in her tone. Chen Yi's sight turned to Wanda, and their eyes met in the air, as if they were communicating something silently. Wanda nodded helplessly, with a bit of apology in her eyes. Pietro has the right to know who his biological father is, so let them meet. If Magneto doesn't leave after watching, you don't have to do anything. I will also drive them away. Wanda assured Chen Yat. Chen Yat looked at Wanda's determined eyes, and his unhappiness was slightly relieved. He knew that Wanda made such a decision out of concern for Pietro. Although Chen Yat was unhappy with Magneto, he could understand Wanda's approach. After all, it's impossible for Pietro to kill his biological father before he even saw him. So, he decided to give Pietro a chance and also give Magneto a chance. He believed that Pietro had regarded him as a family member and would not betray him easily. And Magneto, if he really had plans for Pietro, he had to get past him first. So, Chen Yat got up and walked to the sofa in the deepest part of the restaurant and sat down. Although he agreed to let Magneto and others stay, he did not intend to take the initiative to deal with them. Wanda obviously didn't want to deal with Magneto and the others, and took the initiative to make tea for Chen Yat. The atmosphere became extremely awkward for a while. After a while, Pietro and John Wick came back. Sitting on the sofa, Chen Yat asked curiously, "Why didn't Deadpool come back with you?" John Wick said helplessly, "He took the dog Deadpool to find other members of the Hand, wanting to make more extra money. And told Master Ye that the matter had been resolved, but he and Lao Ma went upstairs first." Pietro, who was standing by, saw her sister coming back and ran to her happily, "Sister, you're back. Why did you go out for so long this time?" Then Wanda hugged Pietro, and then signaled with her eyes to look around. It was then that Pietro noticed Magneto and the other two next door. Pietro was a little confused and spread his hands. Then she asked Wanda, "Who are these three?" Nightwalker stood up and shook hands with Pietro. "Hello, Pietro. I'm from the Brotherhood of Mutants." Then she introduced him to Pietro, "This is Magneto, my boss and your biological father." Hearing this news, Pietro's pupils dilated involuntarily. He looked at Magneto in front of him in disbelief, and then quickly turned his head to look at it. Looking at Wanda behind him, his eyes were filled with questions and expectations. Wanda nodded. "Impossible, absolutely impossible. My parents have long been dead." Pietro's tone was full of determination and doubt. "Child, I am indeed your biological father. I am sorry that I found you so late. I have made you suffer." Magneto slowly spoke to Pietro at this time. Pietro was stunned. He looked at Magneto's eyes as if he was looking at a stranger. His heart was beating wildly and his thoughts were running wildly. All this was too sudden and caught him off guard. "Humph, in my heart my biological parents have long been dead. My family only has my sister Wanda and Chen Yat." Pietro still refused to accept this fact. He didn't want to have anything to do with this so-called father. "Child, if you want, you can leave here with me and return to our home, the Brotherhood of Mutants. There are many of your kind there, and I will try to make it up to you." Magneto still didn't give up. He tried to impress his son with family affection. "I told you, I don't have a biological father. My home is in Hell's Kitchen. I'm not going anywhere." Then Pietro wanted to use fast movement to leave. However, Chen Yi grabbed his arm tightly and stopped him from leaving. Chen Yi's eyes were firm and powerful. He looked directly at Magneto with an unquestionable domineering tone. "You have seen what you should see. Isn't it time to get out?" Pietro has said that he doesn't want to accept you as his so-called biological father. They are my family and they are not going anywhere. Where were you when they needed someone to accompany them the most? Where were you when their adoptive parents were blown to death? Chen Yi's words were full of questioning and anger. So now you don't have to pretend to show your fatherly love here. If you don't leave, then I can only leave your life. Just now I spared your life because you are Wanda's biological father. If you dare to say another word, don't blame me for not respecting the elderly and loving the young. You don't think that people who can stay in Hell's Kitchen are good people. Chen Ye issued the final expulsion order. Wanda on the side also made a fighting posture, and her hands had already used chaos magic. It was obvious that she was on Chen Yi's side. Magneto looked at Chen Ye, and he knew that this man was not joking. He felt Chen Yi's determination and strength, and understood that he had no way out. At this time, Chen Yi's mobile phone rang. Chen Ye answered the phone. What? Vanessa and her children were attacked by Mrs. Gao, and they need support. Chapter 53. After the call, the two sides were in chaos. Chen Ye hung up the phone with an ugly face and glanced at Magneto. The call just now was from Bullseye, and there was a sense of panic in his voice, and he was obviously in a lot of trouble. Bullseye told Chen Ye that he was carrying out the task assigned by Kingpin to clean up the Irish gang, and then he received the news that Kingpin's family was attacked and called Chen Ye immediately. Chen Ye held the phone tightly and frowned. He knew that Mrs. Gao's move must be because Kingpin had threatened her position. Moreover, the target this time was Kingpin's family, and it was obvious that he wanted to cut the grass and wipe it out. At this time, Chen Ye no longer had extra patience and words, and he directly launched a chaos magic at Magneto. The power of this magic was so strong that even Magneto felt the pressure. He had to defend himself with all his strength and used magnetism to dissolve the attack. Knowing that Chen Ye was indeed in urgent need, he got up and left. Before leaving, Magneto said to Chen Ye with a complicated look in his eyes, "Thank you. Take good care of them for me." His voice was low and powerful, as if he was entrusting something very important. At the same time, a new prompt appeared on the system screen. Congratulations to the host, Max Eisenhart successfully added the host as a friend. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the attribute and creating a magnetic field. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained 10 points of friendship. Do you want to merge immediately? Yes. Chen Ye did not hesitate. The next second, he felt a strong force surging into his body, which was Magneto's ability. He now has control over this power and can manipulate the magnetic field at will. Without stopping any longer, Chen Ye immediately used the ability to move quickly, instantly disappeared in the restaurant, and rushed towards the location of Kingpin. On the other side, Jin Bing was no longer as domineering and calm as before. He was wearing a black suit, but it was obvious that there were scratches on it, as if it was proof of being attacked. His eyes were full of anxiety and worry, and he stared at his wife Vanessa and Richard who were gradually surrounded by the killers of the hand. While Jin Bing was struggling to resist Mrs. Gao's attack, he tried his best to protect his wife and children. His hands were like lightning, quickly fending off Mrs. Gao's fierce attack, and at the same time, his eyes never left Vanessa and the children, always paying attention to their safety. However, despite Jin Bing's strong strength, his current situation seemed embarrassing. He had to fight against Mrs. Gao's attack, and always be vigilant against the sneak attacks of the killers of the hand, and he had to do his best to protect his family. This dilemma put him under great pressure, and his face was full of fatigue and anxiety. While doing his best to resist the attack, Jin Bing cursed, "Damn it, don't touch my wife." His voice was full of anger. At the same time, Jin Bing was also deeply remorseful and regretful. He blamed himself for not anticipating such a situation. He had clearly received Chen Yi's reminder, and had arranged many men to protect his family, and even he had always been by his wife and children's side. He thought that such an arrangement was foolproof, but he didn't expect that this time Mrs. Gao personally took action and brought almost half of the hand killers in New York to attack. He thought it was foolproof, but he didn't expect that this time Mrs. Gao personally took action and brought almost half of the hand killers in New York. Jin Bing's heart was full of pain and regret. He couldn't imagine what would happen if he lost Vanessa and the child. He gritted his teeth tightly, clenched his hands into fists, and tried his best to suppress the pain in his heart. His attacks became more crazy, and every attack was accompanied by endless anger and despair. While dealing with Jin Bing's attack, Madame Gao said in a cold voice, "You should have thought about this day since you entered the gang, Jin Bing. Her eyes revealed a kind of cruelty and indifference, as if she had completely lost human emotions. Madame Gao also intensified her attack, leaving Jin no time to take care of his wife and children. At this time, the killers of the hand were gradually approaching Vanessa and Richard. They brutally chopped down the bodyguards who protected them, preparing to kill Vanessa and Richard. Vanessa hugged the child tightly and closed her eyes. She already felt the threat of death. Jin Bing, who was standing aside, also saw this scene. His heart was broken. He wanted to resist Madame Gao's attack, tried his best to rush over to protect them, but was hit in the legs by Madame Gao and fell heavily to the ground. At this tense moment, a majestic figure suddenly broke into the chaotic scene. A powerful force burst out from the stranger, and he quickly moved to Vanessa's side, knocked down the killer who was about to kill her with one punch, and then quickly knocked down all the killers who besieged Vanessa. "No one is allowed to hurt my Vanessa!" The stranger roared, his voice full of determination. He stood in front of Vanessa, like an unshakable mountain, blocking all dangers for her. Madame Gao and Jin Bing were surprised by the sudden appearance of the stranger. Madame Gao squinted her eyes, looked at the back carefully, and suddenly recognized who he was. "You?" Madame Gao asked coldly, with a hint of doubt and threat in her tone, "Do you know who you provoked?" Jin Bing breathed a sigh of relief and was glad that the stranger appeared. He said with a little doubt, "Thank you, friend, but how come it became your Vanessa?" Hearing Kingpin's words, the stranger turned around. Mrs. Gao looked around in surprise and shouted, "Kingpin!" This stranger looked very similar to Kingpin, almost exactly the same. But if you look closely, you can find that he is slightly older than Kingpin, his eyes are sharper, and his whole person exudes a more fierce temperament. Mrs. Gao's surprise is not unreasonable. How can there be two Kingpins in this world? And this Kingpin who suddenly appeared seems to be more dangerous than the one lying on the ground. Fisk, the Kingpin of the parallel universe, ignored Mrs. Gao, but looked down at the Kingpin who was lying on the ground and said, "With your strength, how can you protect Vanessa? Let me protect it." There was a trace of contempt on the corner of his mouth. At this time, Chen Ye also arrived at the scene using high-speed movement and first helped Kingpin who was lying on the ground up. Then Chen Ye first used his new ability, magnetism, to control all the magnetic objects around him. They flew towards Mrs. Gao like arrows and wrapped her tightly. Mrs. Gao looked at all this in horror and said, "Impossible, how can you have this ability? This is not one." Her eyes were full of despair. But Chen Ye did not answer, but just looked at her coldly. Then, he tightened the surrounding magnetic force. Mrs. Gao's scream stopped abruptly, and her life was ruthlessly taken away. Then Chen Ye turned to Fisk, who was standing next to Vanessa, and asked, "Mr. Kingpin from another parallel universe, what are you doing in our universe?" Chapter 54. The world is full of love. Parallel universe. Jin Bing, who was standing aside, looked at Fisk, who was older and more experienced than him, with a complicated expression and said to himself. Fisk ignored Jin Bing's doubts. He slowly turned around, squatted down, and looked at the terrified Vanessa and Richard gently. His eyes were full of tenderness and care, as if they were his relatives. "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. I finally see you. Vanessa." Fisk's voice was trembling with excitement. In order to find Vanessa and Richard, he went through countless hardships. He spent countless manpower and financial resources, and even built a collider at all costs, just to bring Vanessa and Richard back to him. Fisk tried to hug Vanessa, but this move immediately aroused Kingpin's dissatisfaction. He quickly rushed forward and punched Fisk. However, because Kingpin was seriously injured, the power of this punch was greatly reduced. Fisk easily dodged sideways, and then quickly counterattacked, kicking Kingpin out with one foot. Kingpin's body drew an arc in the air and then fell heavily to the ground. "How can you, a weak guy, protect Vanessa?" Fisk said coldly, "This world is really unfair. Why can you, who is so weak, still have Vanessa, while my Vanessa has passed away?" His expression became ferocious, and there was a crazy light in his eyes. Chen Yi's eyes flashed with uncontrollable anger. He really couldn't stand Fisk's arrogance. He waved his hands gently, and a strong magnetic force surged from his fingertips, instantly attracting the surrounding steel bars. These steel bars seemed to be pulled by an invisible force, rushing towards Fisk and binding him tightly. Then he signaled with his eyes for Jin Bing to send the mother and child out. Although Jinbing was extremely surprised and confused about this parallel universe that suddenly appeared, he knew in his heart that the safety of Vanessa and the child was the most important thing now. Thank you, child. Thanks to you today. Jinbing, the gangster boss who used to be arrogant and domineering, showed sincere gratitude on his face. Vanessa and Richard standing beside him also looked at Chen Ye with grateful eyes. So, with complicated emotions, he hugged Vanessa and the child tightly and quickly left this dangerous place. On the way out, Jinbing's heart was turbulent. He looked at his wife and children in his arms and felt extremely distressed and guilty. He had been trying to protect them, but this time, he almost put them in a desperate situation. He couldn't imagine how he would react if Vanessa and Richard met with an accident due to his negligence. Perhaps the kingpin in that parallel universe had also felt this way. He may have experienced the pain of losing his loved ones and tasted the bitterness of failure. Vanessa, Vanessa! Let me go quickly, I want to find Vanessa. Fisk was like a madman, and even if he was tied up, he only cared about Vanessa. Chen Ye looked at the kingpin in the parallel universe in front of him, and knew that he had traveled through countless time and space in order to find Vanessa. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Sure enough, without him, Kingpin's wife and children would definitely be killed. Tell me, which parallel universe are you from? Chen Ye asked uncertainly despite his guesses in his heart. Fisk slowly regained his sanity and began to observe Chen Ye carefully. His eyes were full of doubts and vigilance. Obviously, he didn't remember having such a master around him. Who are you? I don't remember having a master like you around me. It seems that you have a good relationship with Kingpin here. Fisk asked. I am his godson. Chen Ye replied. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect that someone like me would be a godchild. Kill me. Fisk suddenly laughed after hearing this answer. His laughter was full of ridicule and self-mockery, as if he didn't believe Chen Ye's words at all. Chen Ye did not answer immediately. He began to observe Fisk's expression and reaction carefully. He noticed that Fisk's eyes revealed a complex emotion, which made him curious and asked, Are you really willing to die? You haven't found Vanessa yet. After hearing Vanessa's name, Fisk's eyes were filled with a trace of tenderness and grief flashed across his face immediately. He lowered his head and was silent for a while, then looked up at Chen Ye and smiled bitterly, I am Kingpin, do you think I will beg for mercy? If I beg for mercy again, will you let me go? I should have died a long time ago, but I didn't expect to see Vanessa before I died. I am satisfied. The Vanessa here has her own kingpin. I should also go find my Vanessa. Let's do it. Didn't the kingpin here teach you to root out the grass? Chen Ye stared at Fisk in front of him. He had already seen the determination to die in the other's eyes. He stopped wasting words and clenched his right hand. The steel bars tied to Fisk seemed to sense his will and clasped their hands together, turning into a steel cage. Fisk's vitality gradually disappeared, his eyes became empty, and the whole person was like a statue without a soul. Chen Ye did not relax his vigilance. His eyes scanned the surroundings, looking for possible prey like a cheetah. You hid well, but you should come out after watching for so long. Chen Ye said coldly, his voice echoed in the empty field, but no one responded. Do you think you can avoid my detection by being invisible? Chen Ye's mouth curled up slightly, with disdain in his tone, do you want me to ask you to come out? Then Chen Ye cast a chaos magic at an empty wall. No, 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 I have no ill intentions, please don't attack, said a voice that sounded quite young. As the voice fell, the seemingly ordinary wall suddenly rippled, as if a stone was thrown into the lake, and the waves spread. Then, a figure slowly emerged from it. I saw a figure in a black Spider-Man costume appeared in front of Chen Ye. He made a stop gesture, which obviously meant surrender. When Chen Ye saw this black Spider-Man, he already knew which parallel universe it was. Little black spider? Take off the hood, Chen Ye ordered. The black Spider-Man hesitated for a moment, obviously not wanting to take off the hood. He muttered quietly, Sir, this is not good. I need to hide my identity. Chen Ye replied unhappily, Stop pretending, Miles. There are not many people who can be invisible and wear a black Spider-Man costume. You have been exposed long ago. Chen Ye saw at a glance that the black Spider-Man in front of him was the protagonist of the animated film in his previous life. After all, he was the only black Spider-Man Miles in the multiverse. Chapter 55. The two of them were very close. Sir, how do you know me? Miles was so surprised when he heard Chen Ye call out his name that he took off his hood immediately. He thought that no one in this universe would know him, but the mysterious person in front of him called out his name easily and knew that he was not from this universe, which surprised him. Miles is an 18-year-old young man who has just entered society and has not experienced much. He was not too wary of Chen Ye, but was very curious and wanted to know how the other party knew his true identity. Chen Ye looked at Miles with a smile in his eyes. He did not answer Miles' question directly, but asked back, "You don't need to know how I know. Are you here to hunt down Kingpin? Is there another Spider-Man named Peter Parker in your world?" Miles was stunned by Chen Ye's question, but he quickly reacted. He nodded and replied, "Yes, sir. According to the plan, I would first send the Spider-Mans of each world back to their respective universes, and then destroy the collider. But in the end, something unexpected happened. Kingpin and I didn't know why we were both sent to this parallel universe by the collider, and then I followed Kingpin all the way here." Miles scratched his head and seemed a little confused. He was obviously puzzled as to why he appeared in this strange parallel universe. "As for our world, there was originally a Spider-Man named Peter Parker. But he has been killed by Kingpin," Miles said, with anger in his tone. He stared at Kingpin's body on the ground, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "Spider-Man team? So many Spider-Mans have gone to your time and space." Chen Ye wanted to make sure whether it was the same as the version he thought. Miles was immediately interested when he heard this question. He answered happily, "Not many, just 5 Spider-Mans." He counted on his fingers. "The first one I know is Peter B. Parker from the future universe. He is my master and taught me a lot. The second one is Gwen Spider-Man. She is very cool and agile. The third one is Penny Spider-Man from 2033. She has a unique black and white style and is very mysterious. There is also a Spider-Ham who is not a human. He is very interesting and always brings us laughter." Miles turned his head and looked at Chen Ye, and asked with some expectation, "I wonder what your name is, sir?" After listening to Miles' introduction, Chen Ye had a rough idea in his mind. This should be the plot of Spider-Man's parallel universe, but it is slightly different. The original ending was that Miles completed the task perfectly and stayed in his own universe. But now, due to unknown reasons, the space-time cracks created by the collider brought him and Kingpin to this universe together. This means that the ending of that universe may not be as perfect as the original. Chen Ye carefully observed Miles, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart that Peter Parker in that time and space was really the most successful one among many parallel universes. He had wealth, a happy family and a lovely daughter. However, fate was so cruel to him. He was eventually brutally killed by Kingpin. He had a chance to escape, but in order to protect Miles in front of him, he chose to sacrifice himself. "My name is Chen Ye, and Kingpin in this universe is my godfather," Chen Ye replied. Miles became alert immediately after hearing the news. He stared at Chen Ye closely, his whole body tense, ready for defense. In his opinion, Chen Ye had a close relationship with Kingpin in this universe, which made him have to guard against potential dangers. Chen Ye looked at Miles' reaction and laughed in his heart. He said calmly, "Don't worry, little Blackie." Chen Ye also knew that he had said something wrong, and quickly explained, "I just said it casually, it was a slip of the tongue. Don't worry, little black spider. Didn't you see that I have killed the Kingpin of your universe? If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it long ago, right? What are your plans now? Can you return to your universe by yourself?" Chen Ye asked curiously. After all, as far as Chen Ye knows, their space-time does not have a collider, and they do not have the ability to travel through parallel universes. Miles scratched his head after hearing this, and looked at Chen Ye's eyes. Full of expectations, "Mr. Chen Ye, since you know that I am from a parallel universe, there should be a way for me to go back." In Miles's opinion, Mr. Chen Ye, who is knowledgeable and experienced, should be able to take him back. "I know the way, but I don't have the ability, or I can't find them." Chen Ye is telling the truth. Master Guyi, Miss America and Doctor Strange all have this ability. The problem is that Miss America may not be in this time and space yet, and Chen Ye really doesn't want to find Guyi. Now Doctor Strange in their universe is still working as a doctor in the hospital. "Where is your spider squad? Can't they take you back?" Chen Ye said as he looked at Miles, who turned into a mosaic from time to time. But at the same time, he also knew that Miles couldn't stay in this universe for too long, otherwise his life would be in danger. Chen Ye remembered that if Miles didn't have the special bracelet, he wouldn't be able to live too long in the parallel universe. But this special bracelet seemed to be given to him later. Chen Ye also wanted to find an opportunity to see Spider-Man Space Camp, where there are at least 1,000 Spider-Mans from different parallel universes. It would be so cool to make friends there. But it seems that only Spider-Man can enter that place, so we have to think of a way. When Miles heard this answer, a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. They all returned to their respective universes through the collider. Unless there is a collider in this universe, I don't know how to go back. He patted Miles on the shoulder and comforted him, don't be too sad, there will always be a solution to the problem. Miles raised his head, with a glimmer of hope in his eyes, really? Do you have any solution? Then why don't you stay here first? I have a lot of empty rooms in my house. You probably have nowhere to go. Chen Ye invited Miles. As long as Miles is there, he will definitely wait for other Spider-Mans to come to rescue, and then there will be a way to go to other universes together. Miles nodded gratefully, he knew Chen Ye was thinking about him. After all, he is now homeless and doesn't know anyone in this universe. Chen Ye in front of him is his only hope. Let's go, follow me back first. Chen Ye turned and left, followed by Miles. The system screen also had a new prompt. Congratulations to the host. Miles Morales has been successfully added as a friend. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the attribute, invisibility. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 friend points. Host, do you want to merge now? Merge immediately. Chapter 56. The reward was a big one, but it was not enough. Chen Ye frowned as he looked at the reward, his heart full of doubts and dissatisfaction. This damn randomness actually gave him a skill he didn't need, invisibility. For him, this skill was useless. Was it for peeking at others? Chen Ye shook his head, trying to get rid of this idea from his mind. He thought he was not an upright person, but he really disdained to do such a mean thing. Moreover, if he wanted to see, with his observation haki, he could see through everything. Chen Ye mainly wanted the spider sense, so that he could pretend to be Spider-Man and go into the Spider-Verse to meet a bunch of Spider-Mans. In a short while, Chen Ye returned to the restaurant with Miles. At this moment, the Good Luck restaurant was surrounded by Jin Bing's bodyguards, all of whom had serious expressions, as if they were facing a great enemy. Bullseye was also standing among them. He stood at the door, guarding the restaurant door tightly, and not allowing anyone to approach easily. As soon as Bullseye saw Chen Ye coming, he immediately showed an expression of help on his face. He seemed a little helpless and a little embarrassed, like a trapped child seeing a savior. Chen Ye looked at Bullseye's appearance and couldn't help but joked, "Are you punished to stand?" Standing at the door as a security guard. This sentence seemed to touch Bullseye's heart. He stepped forward, grabbed Chen Ye's shoulders tightly, and said excitedly, "Brother, I'm so miserable. I was obviously arranged to another battlefield by the boss. I wanted to say that I had completed the task perfectly and I didn't ask for any benefits. I didn't expect that the damn Mrs. Gao would make a feint to the east and attack in the west. If something happens to the boss's wife, you won't see my brother today. You must help me beg for mercy later." Chen Ye comforted him and said, Okay, stop complaining. If Uncle Jinbing really wanted to punish you, you would be a corpse. Come in with me. Then he turned around and said to Miles behind him, "Miles, follow me." Miles nodded and followed them silently. At this time, Bullseye saw the little black spider Miles behind him. Bullseye's pupils were shocked. He pointed at Miles and then looked at Chen Ye, "Brother, you are not the most annoying one. I am just a child and I didn't do anything wrong. Besides, I am still useful." Chen Ye glanced at Bullseye indifferently, knowing what Bullseye wanted to say. Chen Ye hated black people, but Chen Ye was not the kind of person who hated all black people without distinction. What he hated were those black people who were self-indulgent and reckless, excluding the underage and innocent Miles. There were many black orphans in Hell's Kitchen, and Chen Yan adopted them. If they dared to commit a crime, there would be no light or heavy crimes in Chen Yi's place, all of which were capital crimes. Chen Ye did not hate all black people. For example, a certain deceased basketball superstar, Chen Ye admired him very much. Besides, the little black spider was a unique existence in the entire multiverse, and it must be kept. Of course, if the little guy behind was disobedient, then don't blame Chen Ye for taking action. The three of them passed through surrounded by bodyguards. He entered the restaurant. Target looked at Chen Ye with gratitude and trust in his eyes. He knew Chen Ye would plead for him. In the restaurant, only Kingpin was sitting alone on the sofa, smoking a cigar and thinking. Wanda was gently comforting the panicked Vanessa, her hand gently patting the girl's back, trying to calm her fear. On the other side, Pietro was concentrating on playing video games with Richard. After all, children are easily attracted by games and instantly forget the fear just now. When Chen Ye and his group walked into the restaurant, all eyes were on him. Wanda immediately walked up to Chen Ye with a concerned look on her face. "You are not injured, what's the matter? I heard there is another Uncle Kingpin? What is the multiverse?" Although Kingpin did not speak, his eyes were filled with questions. He sat upright on the sofa, his hands folded in front of his chest, staring at Chen Ye, as if waiting for his explanation. Chen Ye was overwhelmed by so many questions, and then pulled Miles from the back. Then he introduced to everyone in surprise, "This is Miles, the Spider-Man from the same parallel universe as the other Kingpin. Let him answer your questions next." Miles was a little nervous when being stared at by so many eyes. At a loss, especially seeing the identical Kingpin, the familiar face made him a little stunned. Chen Ye gently patted Miles on the shoulder, signaling him to rest assured. Miles took a deep breath, as if adjusting his emotions. Then, he began to explain this incredible news to everyone. Half an hour later, everyone finally digested the information Miles said. This story was so shocking that they felt like they had opened the door to another world. "I didn't expect there to be a parallel universe. If so, are there many of me?" Quicksilver asked doubtfully, revealing a strong interest in this new concept in his eyes. Kingpin, who was standing aside, looked at his wife and children with a face full of affection, with mixed feelings in his heart. When he thought of Vanessa's fate in the ordinary universe, he couldn't help but be afraid. Kingpin understood himself in the parallel universe very well. If it were him, he would probably make the same choice. But now, this decision was destroyed by the little black spider in front of him. Kingpin couldn't help but be furious and stared at Miles. "Boy, do you know who killed my wife and children in the parallel universe?" Jin Bing asked Miles in his deep voice, with a threatening and murderous tone. If it was Miles in front of him who killed them, then Jin didn't mind avenging himself in the parallel universe. Miles was frightened by Jin Bing's sudden momentum. "Uncle Jin Bing, don't scare the children. He didn't kill them. It was all an accident." Chen Ye came to the rescue. He knew Jin Bing's anger and pain at the moment, but he also knew that it was not Miles' fault. After listening, Jin Bing took a deep breath and retracted the fierce killing intent. His eyes became a little complicated, staring at Chen Ye, as if waiting for his explanation. Seeing Jin Bing's obvious desire to get to the bottom of it, Chen Ye sighed helplessly and decided to tell the truth. "The Kingpin of that parallel universe told me that his wife and children died in a car accident." As for the reason, Chen Ye would not tell him that it was because the Kingpin of that universe was fighting with Spider-Man Peter Parker, and then Vanessa couldn't bear it and drove away with her son and was hit by a car and died. When he said this, the doubt in Kingpin's eyes became stronger. He could see that Chen Ye was holding back and didn't tell the whole truth. Miles on the side looked at Chen Ye in confusion. He was also there at the time, so why didn't he hear the Kingpin of the parallel universe say this? Chen Ye quickly said to Pietro, "Pietro, go to my room to get the key and take this little guy upstairs." Pietro wanted to refuse, but after seeing the eyes of Chen Ye and Wanda, he could only agree obediently. He knew in his heart that it would be better not to disobey their wishes at this time. When leaving, Pietro was still muttering, "Obviously my sister could take the baby." But no one paid any attention to him. Chapter 57. Seeing that it was getting late, Jin Bing patted his thighs with both hands, as if preparing for the important speech. "Then we'll leave first, after all, Vanessa is exhausted tonight." Then he told Bullseye to drive outside and wait. Before leaving, Jin Bing took a deep look at Chen Ye, his eyes full of complexity and relief. He said earnestly, "Child, the future of Hell's Kitchen is in your hands. You have grown into an outstanding leader, and I believe you have the ability to lead this place to a better future." After this incident and after hearing about his own experience in the parallel universe, Kingpin decided to retire and accompany Vanessa and Richard. After all, Chen Ye is indeed more capable and better than him. After hearing what Kingpin said, Chen Ye said, "No, I just want to be a landlord in my restaurant quietly." Chen Ye smiled bitterly helplessly. The twists and turns during this period made him feel exhausted, and he only longed for an ordinary life. However, Kingpin said in an unquestionable tone, "This is an order, you must accept it. Wanda will help you manage the affairs here, and I believe she is capable enough for this position. I will send someone to notify the people in the underground world later, and I will introduce them to the new leader. Child, I am old. There is no place for me in the new era, it's your turn." Then without saying anything to Chen Ye, he took Vanessa and Richard away. Just as Chen Ye was about to struggle, the system sounded another prompt. "Congratulations to the host, Wilson Grant Fisk's favorability has been raised to full stars. Congratulations to the host, Wilson Grant Fisk has become your family member. Congratulations on getting a point of family member. Congratulations to the host, Richard Fisk's favorability has been raised to full stars. Congratulations to the host, Vanessa's favorability has been raised to full stars. Congratulations. Congratulations to the host, currently there are 9/10 family members. Please keep up the good work. Only one more point is left to unlock the exclusive skill." After reading the system prompt, Chen Ye understood Jin Bing's idea. So he didn't say anything more. Then, Chen Yi's mood became a little heavy. He looked at the system interface and sighed helplessly. He still needed a family member's favorability to unlock the exclusive skills, which made him feel a little melancholy. Just as he was lost in thought, the system prompted again. A new line of text appeared in front of Chen Ye. "Congratulations to the host, Wanda Django Maximov's favorability has been raised to full stars. Congratulations to the host, Wanda Django Maximov has become your family member. Congratulations to the host, you now have 10/10 family members. Congratulations to the host for upgrading the family warrior, LV3. Congratulations to the host, unlock the exclusive skill, LV1 on your right." Chen Ye opened his mouth in surprise when he saw this series of prompts. He couldn't believe his eyes, and hurriedly looked up and looked around, trying to find Wanda. Wanda was sitting quietly by the side, smiling at him. There was a satisfied and reassuring expression on her face, as if she had found her true home. The two looked at each other for a while, and Chen Ye seemed to understand something instantly. Chen Ye looked at Wanda, and a warm current surged in his heart. He understood that Wanda had been silently supporting and caring for him. "Not leaving?" Chen Ye asked softly, with a hint of tenderness and reluctance in his tone. "Not leaving," Wanda replied with a smile, "I have found my biological father and understood my life experience. There is nothing to regret. This is my home, my family is here, why should I leave?" Wanda looked at Chen Ye and replied. Then, Wanda stood up and left the restaurant. She glanced at Chen Ye and said with a smile, "It's getting late, go to bed early. You've worked hard all day today." Chen Ye watched Wanda leave, then he turned off the lights in the restaurant and went up to his room on the second floor. In the spacious room on the second floor, Chen Ye sat in a comfortable chair and finally had time to carefully study his newly acquired titles and skills. He opened the system interface and read every piece of information carefully. Family Man LV3, when there is a family member on the field, the host's combat power increases by 20%, and the host's family's combat power increases by 15%. Exclusive skill, LV1 on your right, when the host uses this skill, no matter where he is, can actively choose to summon a family member to the right of the host. Cooling time, 24 hours. 10/15 before the next upgrade. The name of this system skill is too careless. It actually uses the expression on your right. Shouldn't it be more poetic or shocking? Besides, isn't this plagiarism? This is not completely plagiarizing Captain America's on your left in Avengers 4. However, the effect of the skill made him brighten up. System, so this skill can be upgraded, right? Chen Ye asked the system. Yes, after the skill is upgraded, the family members that can be summoned will also be upgraded. The system replied. After listening, Chen Ye raised another question again, does this anywhere refer to this universe? Or? Yes, no matter which universe you are in, you can summon your family members regardless of restrictions. Chen Ye instantly understood that this skill is quite invincible, and this time the skill is still actively selected for summoning, not random summoning. If he summons a powerless ordinary person like Vanessa, he will just send her away. However, if he can actively choose the object to summon, then at the critical moment, he can summon the most suitable person to help him. Then Chen Ye can call for people at any time when he goes to other parallel universes, such as the Spider-Man universe. Host, you currently have 5 family points. Do you need to draw a lottery? The system asked. Chen Ye thought for a while, then replied, not for the time being. He knew that what happened tonight would definitely be heard by everyone in Hell's Kitchen tomorrow. At that time, he will get a lot of friend points. With these friend points, he can make a 10 draw. After all, Chen Ye was brainwashed by the game company in his previous life, and always felt that there would be a guarantee for 10 draw. In addition, too many things happened today, and Chen Ye felt a little tired. He wanted to have a good rest for a night to recover his energy. Tomorrow, when he is refreshed, it will be more effective to draw a lottery. So, Chen Ye decided to rest first. He lay on the bed, closed his eyes, and began to fall asleep. In his dream, he dreamed that he used his skills to summon various powerful family members, fighting side by side with them to fight against those powerful enemies together. On the other side, the news of Jin Bing's abdication and Chen Yi's succession spread like wildfire. The handover of power by this big boss who once controlled the entire Hell's Kitchen attracted widespread attention from both inside and outside the community. Chapter 58. The next morning, the residents of Hell's Kitchen knew what happened yesterday. They talked excitedly and were happy for Chen Yi's victory. The whole Hell's Kitchen was immersed in a joyful atmosphere, as if a victory had changed their fate. At the same time, shops in Hell's Kitchen also offered discounts to celebrate Chen Yi's victory. Whether it was restaurants, supermarkets, or street vendors, they all hoped to attract more customers to patronize by taking advantage of this festive atmosphere. People flocked into shops to buy their favorite products, and the business activities of the entire Hell's Kitchen became unusually active. Some people even took photos of Chen Ye and began to parade in Hell's Kitchen. They held up photos and shouted Chen Yi's name, expressing their respect and gratitude for this hero. The parade was getting longer and more people joined in, sharing the joy and pride. Among the parade crowd, there was an old man who was once a victim of the Hell's Kitchen gang. He held Chen Yi's photo tightly, with tears in his eyes. He said, "I finally see hope for our Hell's Kitchen. Chen Ye is our real hero." Although his voice was hoarse, it was full of strength and determination. As time went by, more and more people joined the parade. They may have had doubts about Chen Ye, but at this moment, they were all willing to believe in him and follow him to a better future. They shouted Chen Ye is the Lord of Hell, and this slogan seemed to have a kind of magic, attracting more and more people to gather together. At this time, the system prompts were also increasing. Congratulations to the host, Hell's Kitchen resident E added the host as a friend. Congratulations to the host, Matthew Michael Murdoch added the host as a friend. And Chen Ye had no idea what was happening outside, and had just woken up from a dream. Chen Ye was still immersed in the dream. He had just had a very strange dream, dreaming that a large group of Deadpools were chasing them frantically in Hell's Kitchen, as if they wanted to kill them all. This dream made Chen Ye feel scared, and he even felt his heartbeat accelerated after waking up. He went to the bathroom and washed his face with cold water to wake up. Then he opened the system panel to understand the current situation. However, he was stunned by everything in front of him. The system panel was densely packed with friend prompts. Is there an incredible guy sneaking in here? Chen Ye looked at one of the familiar names and said to himself. Why did this daredevil add a friend? Chen Ye decided to find a time to talk to Daredevil. After all, Hell's Kitchen is still short of staff. Daredevil happened to be a lawyer, and he was also a rare talent in Hell's Kitchen. The exciting part is here again. System, how many friend points do I have now? Chen Ye rubbed his hands and asked nervously. The system prompt sounded again, you now have 552 friend points. Do you want to exchange them for family points? This number made Chen Ye feel ecstatic, as expected. Finally, it was enough for 10 consecutive draws. Exchange now, Chen Ye said hurriedly. Exchange successful, there are currently 10 family points. Do you want to draw a lottery? Let's draw 10 consecutive draws, Chen Ye said domineeringly. As his words fell, the roulette wheel began to turn slowly, and every turn pulled Chen Yi's heartstrings. He stared at the roulette wheel closely, as if looking for something. Congratulations to the host, you got the Vongola I template card. Congratulations to the host, you got the Sky Ring. Congratulations to the host, you got the Storm Ring. Congratulations to the host. Congratulations to the host, you got the Kai 8 Stark template card. Congratulations to the horse spell. Chen Yi's mood was like a roller coaster at the moment, flying in the sky for a while, and then suddenly diving down. The result of this lottery is really love-hate. System, can't you draw all the rings at once? You have to draw them one by one, and waste my 7 lottery opportunities. Chen Ye complained. Chen Ye looked at the 7 rings in front of him, and couldn't help feeling annoyed. However, the system didn't seem to hear his complaints, and was still silent as always. Chen Ye shook his head helplessly and began to carefully count these. The reward. First of all, the template of Vongola I is definitely for Chen Yi's best friend Vongola I. Chen Ye even suspects that the system's lottery is not random. As for the 7 rings, they just correspond to the 7 guardians of the Vongola family. This wave, the Vongola family is epically strengthened. As for the template card of Kai 8 Stark, Chen Ye was a little confused at first. Could it be that he drew Tony's relative? After reading the introduction, I found out that it was one of the 10 blades in death, the guy ranked first. Chen Ye was very satisfied with this template. After all, this guy's ability is pretty good. He can split himself into many wolves. The last horse spell can cure all diseases and restore damaged items to their original state. Chen Ye can just match it with the previous senzu beans and let Deadpool try to see if he can restore his face. Then Chen Ye said to the system, "System, give me these 2 templates. Automatically find family members with high matching degree with the template card for the host." Matching successful, detected that the host has a family member, Vongola I, and the matching rate with the template card is as high as 99%. Does the host use the Vongola I template card? Matching successful, detected that the host has a family member, John Wick, and the matching rate with the template card is as high as 75%. Does the host use the Koyatai Stark template card? The system voice said in Chen Yi's mind. Use. Chen Ye replied with a little surprise. Chen Ye was not surprised by Vongola I, but he did not expect that John Wick actually had a matching degree of 75% with this 10 blades. Congratulations to the system for successful use. Vongola I and John Wick have successfully merged the template card. The host has been successfully synchronized. System, open my panel. Chen Ye just wanted to see the new changes in the panel. Name, Chen Ye. Race, human. Title, Family Hero LV3, Lord of Hell LV1. Skills, Gravity Fruit, Magnetic Field Control, Death Flame, Invisibility, Self-Healing Ability, High-Speed Movement, Chaos Magic, Observation Haki, Hollow, Return to Blade, Hollow Flash. Talent, a person cursed by knowledge, Son of Luck. Items, Senzu Beans, Horse Charm, Eternal Spirit Blade, Lost Drive, Eternal Memory, New Elemental Blueprint, 7 Vongola Rings. Friends, Pietro Maximoff, Family, Kane, Family, John Wick, Family, Winston, Family, Marcus, Family, Wanda Django Maximoff, Family, Wilson Fisk, Family, Vongola I, Family. Wade Wilson, 4 stars. Wade Winston Wilson, 3 stars, Tony Stark, 3 stars, Ethan, 3 stars, Stephen Strange, 2 stars. Matthew Michael Murdoch, 1 star, Miles, 1 star. Exclusive skills, LV1 on your right. Chen Ye looked at his new title curiously and asked, "System, what's the matter with the title of Lord of Hell? This title is given to you by the public, just like the titles of Captain America and Iron Man." Chen Ye was confused. He didn't expect to get a new title just after getting out of bed. However, the title of Lord of Hell is not bad, at least it is much better than Spider-Man and Deadpool. Chen Ye stopped thinking about it and was proud of his current panel. This panel is not only luxurious in appearance, but also fully functional. It can be said to have long range, defense and speed. It is simply a hexagonal warrior. Afterwards, Chen Ye couldn't wait to go downstairs to find Deadpool to try the effect of the horse spell and see if he could restore his face. Chapter 59. The old man was very happy. As soon as Chen Ye walked downstairs, Deadpool came over in a hurry. While dancing and shouting excitedly, he said, "Chen Ye, you guys were so exciting yesterday, but you didn't call me. Parallel universe, I really want to see what I look like in another universe, whether I am more handsome than me." Chen Ye shook his head helplessly, "Please, blame me if you want to make money. As for whether there is you, go ask Miles yourself." Chen Ye certainly knew that there was not only one Deadpool in the parallel universe, but also many weird and colorful Deadpools. He remembered that there seemed to be a universe where the Deadpool was a handsome guy without disfigurement, but he couldn't remember which universe it was. Hearing the word making money, Deadpool immediately became energetic and put his arm around Chen Yi's shoulders with a playful smile. Hey, brother, this time thanks to you. I made a full $20 million yesterday. I can go pick up girls again. Chen Yi, when are we going to have an adventure in a parallel universe? Deadpool asked curiously. We have to find a way to go to a parallel universe. Don't bother, here you go. Eat it, this thing can heal your face. Chen Yi looked at Deadpool in front of him and threw a magic bean to him helplessly. Deadpool caught the magic bean and looked at it with suspicion. This little thing can heal my face? This can't be poison. Chen Yi rolled his eyes. Poison can't kill you, a swordsman. As long as you eat it, I guarantee that you will be back to normal. Deadpool looked at Chen Yi with a loving expression. As long as you give it, I will eat poison. After that, he swallowed the magic bean in one gulp. The next second, the magic beans began to work their magic, and the pits on Deadpool's face began to gradually flatten, and his skin became smooth and delicate. Deadpool jumped around happily, looking in the mirror from time to time, and posing from time to time. He couldn't wait to run to the street and ask the residents on the roadside, "Am I handsome?" As a result, he was mistaken for a pervert by the residents and they punched and kicked him. After a while, Deadpool finally came back, looking satisfied. He said to Chen Yi gratefully, "Brother, thank you." Before Chen Yi could respond, his face suddenly became ugly. He found that Deadpool's face began to slowly become pitted again. He guessed that this was because Deadpool's self-healing factor and cancer cells repelled each other again, resulting in side effects. The magic beans can only heal one-time injuries, not continuous healing. Deadpool also realized his condition, and the smile on his face gradually disappeared. "Brother, I know I may become ugly again, but at least I am happy now." There was a hint of bitterness in his voice, a kind of pain that could not be concealed. Deadpool, the man who had conquered countless people with his handsome face and charming charm, would actually worry about his appearance. However, he still maintained that unruly smile. After saying that, he wanted to leave. Chen Yi saw it and quickly stopped Deadpool, and then said, "Don't go, I still have a way, this should be able to solve your problem." His voice was full of firmness and determination, as if telling Deadpool that he would never give up easily. Deadpool suppressed his frustration and continued to play tricks. "Great Lord Deadpool, even if it is like this, it is still the most handsome. After all, it has been so many years, and I am used to it. Don't worry. You don't have to comfort me." He tried to use humor to cover up his uneasiness, but his eyes revealed his true feelings. He thought Chen Yi just told a lie to comfort him, so he still maintained his usual mean style to prove that he was fine. Chen Yi took out the horse charm and handed it to Deadpool. Deadpool curiously played with the horse charm in his hand and asked curiously, "How to use this thing?" Chen Yi explained, "Why don't you sneeze and try it? This thing can remove cancer cells from your body. This thing can cure all diseases. The premise is that you have to carry it with you all the time." Hearing this explanation, Deadpool couldn't help but be stunned. He looked at the horse charm in his hand, his eyes full of confusion and surprise. Is this true? Can he really get rid of this devilish disease? Then the horse charm shot out a beam of light, and a few seconds later, Deadpool returned to his original appearance, and there were no more pits on his face. There was no cancer cell invasion in his body, and he turned back to the handsome man. Deadpool didn't jump up and down like before, but stood quietly in front of the mirror, carefully observing his change. His heart was full of anxiety and expectation, fearing that all this beauty was just a dream, fearing that his face would change back in a while. Chen Yi also sat aside, watching all this silently. He knew Deadpool's mood at the moment, and understood his worries. He said nothing, just sat there quietly, accompanying Deadpool through this important moment. Time seemed to become unusually slow, and every minute seemed like an endless torture. Half an hour later, Deadpool finally breathed a sigh of relief. He found that his face had not changed back, and there was no discomfort in his body. He finally got rid of the torture of the disease and found his handsome self again. At this moment, Deadpool's mood was complicated. He felt ecstatic, but more grateful. This thing must be very precious. Deadpool looked at the horse charm in his hand. After all, he had looked for countless ways, but he couldn't solve the problem on his body. The charm in front of him could make him recover so easily. It's okay, keep it for yourself, there is only one in the world. This thing is not as precious as my family. Chen Ye waved his hand. Thank you, brother. Deadpool said in a trembling voice. My life will be yours from now on. This is his promise from the heart, and it is also an expression of his deep gratitude to Chen Ye. Unexpectedly, Chen Ye gave him such a precious thing casually. This made Deadpool extremely grateful. Deadpool has always been a laughing and joking person, always using humor and jokes to cover up the pain and sadness in his heart. However, at this moment, he rarely played tricks, but expressed his gratitude in the most sincere way. Now everything has changed. He finally got rid of the shackles of the disease and found his handsome self again. He felt a kind of ease and freedom that he had never had before. Congratulations to the host, Wade Winston Wilson's favorability has been raised to 4 stars. Congratulations to the host, Wade Winston Wilson. Congratulations to the host, Wade Winston Wilson's favorability has been raised to full stars. Chen Ye was sincerely happy for Deadpool. After all, this was not a movie plot, but a living reality. He couldn't imagine that if he had to live with Deadpool's previous face, he might choose to end his life early, and the point was that he couldn't die. Deadpool's life before was really worse than death. After Deadpool became a family member, if Chen Ye really went to a parallel universe, he could also take this Deadpool with him. After all, Deadpool, this social bull, is still quite useful. Just at this time, the little black spider Miles also came down. Chen Ye, do you want to go with me to pick up girls tonight? To thank you, I'll treat you tonight. Deadpool returned to his frivolous appearance in the past, and Chen Ye's newly emerged touch instantly disappeared. Chen Ye was just moved by Deadpool, but the next second Chen Ye just wanted Deadpool to get out. Then Chen Ye ignored Deadpool and turned to Miles, who had just come downstairs, and said, "Hurry up and have breakfast. I will take you to see someone today. Maybe he can find a way to get you back." Miles seemed a little curious and asked, "Who is it?" "A playboy." Chen Ye's answer was concise and clear, without even looking at Miles. Chapter 60. The two of them were in a mess. On the other side, Hawkeye and Natasha had already withdrawn from Hell's Kitchen, and they knocked on the door of Nick Fury's office. Then Nick Fury was giving Coulson a task. When Hawkeye and Natasha came in, Nick Fury and Coulson stopped talking. Coulson left the office tactfully, leaving Hawkeye, Natasha and Nick Fury to discuss things. Hawkeye and Natasha reported all the information and details in Hell's Kitchen, including Chen Ye's performance and his transformation into Kamen Rider Eternity. After listening to this, Nick Fury rubbed his temples, and then slowly said, "Even Magneto can't do anything to Chen Ye. And what about that Kamen Rider Eternity? Why Chen Ye controls this technology, we really don't know anything. Haven't you been monitoring Chen Ye? Didn't you find out who he has contacted? You know, such a complex mecha cannot be designed by Chen Ye alone." He asked a series of questions, trying to uncover the mystery behind Chen Ye. Chen Ye's threat became more and more threatening to him, like an invisible ghost, making Nick Fury feel an uncontrollable sense of frustration. Nick Fury really hates this feeling of being out of control. In response to the director's question, Natasha thought for a moment and said, "We have been monitoring Chen Ye, and we have not found any suspicious people in contact with Chen Ye. The only suspicious thing is that Chen Ye brought a little boy back yesterday. Unless we can send someone to infiltrate Chen Ye's core team, we may be able to get access to these secrets. But Hawkeye, Chen Ye and I all know each other. And ordinary agents can't get into Chen Ye's team. Chen Ye seems to have the ability to see through people's hearts. Chen Ye has too many abilities," Natasha said with a serious face. "Have you found out the identity of that little boy?" Black Egg asked. "I have found out. His name is Miles. He is a little boy from a poor family. I guess Chen Ye took him in for a day because he felt sorry for him." Hawkeye on the side replied hurriedly. Hawkeye would never have thought that he was investigating Miles in this universe. Black Egg knocked heavily on the table, and then took out a copy of today's latest report for Natasha and Hawkeye to see. "Take a look, what do you think?" Black Egg's eyes shuttled back and forth between the two of them, with a hint of seriousness in his tone. Hawkeye picked up the report and quickly scanned it. When he saw the name Chen Ye, the Lord of Hell, a joking smile appeared on his lips. "Chen Ye, the Lord of Hell, this name is quite domineering. It is much more domineering than my title Hawkeye." He tried to ease the atmosphere, but he found that this joke did not have the desired effect. He looked left and right, but no one responded to him. The only one who responded to him was the one eye of Director Black Egg, who stared at him. Hawkeye's heart trembled, and he quickly said seriously, "Director, I think this is a good thing. Chen Yi's replacement of Jinbing can further stabilize the unstable place of Hell's Kitchen. And, I think Chen Yi hates illegal things such as drug trafficking. He also pays for his children to go to school at his own expense." Hawkeye really thought so in his heart. However, just as he finished speaking, Black Braised Egg beside him slammed the table and stood up. "You are all too naive." Black Braised Egg's voice was filled with anger. Chen Yi's threat is much greater than Kingpin's. Kingpin was just an ordinary person before. The reason we didn't get rid of him was because he was useful and we could control him. Now let Chen Yi take over Hell's Kitchen. Is there anyone who can control him? At that time, Hell's Kitchen is his, Chen Yi's territory, or the territory of the federal government. But what Chen Yi did was indeed for the good of those ordinary people. Besides, if Chen Yi really wanted to do something, we don't seem to have the strength to stop him. Natasha tried to refute. After all, Natasha had witnessed Chen Yi's endless means with her own eyes. From the beginning, she thought Chen Yi had only a little strength, to the endless means later, maybe Chen Yi had more means that he had not used. He does his own thing according to his own will. Look at how many people died in Hell's Kitchen yesterday. Black Sauce Egg continued, his tone full of accusations and dissatisfaction. If Chen Yi really thinks these people are wrong, he should come to federal government, not by himself. He doesn't take the federal government seriously at all. The cold voice of Black Egg echoed in the air, with strong hostility and dissatisfaction. So our shield must have enough power to fight against people like Chen Yi. After saying that, Black Egg turned on the screen, and saw the 5 big words Avengers written on the screen. Avengers. Hawkeye and Natasha said in surprise. Then, Black Egg showed pictures of superheroes, including the big green guy, Tony who had just become Iron Man, Professor X in a wheelchair, a man with an arm that could stretch, and Captain America. These superheroes each have powerful abilities, and their existence is undoubtedly an important force to fight crime and chaos. Even Natasha and Hawkeye saw their own photos. Black Egg looked at Natasha and Hawkeye and said, "Yes, you two are also part of the plan. You are one of the most experienced and capable agents in the world. I need you to lobby these superheroes to join our alliance." Hawkeye looked at the photo of Captain America, his eyes full of shock. He pointed at the photo, with an unbelievable doubt in his tone, "If I'm not mistaken, this should be Captain America, isn't he dead? How did he join this plan? Does S.H.I.E.L.D. already have the technology to resurrect the dead? Or find someone else to be Captain America?" Hawkeye couldn't believe that the director would include a dead person in the plan. The story of Captain America is well known to everyone. Every citizen of the Federation knows this person, so everyone knows that he died in the end. Nick Fury showed a mysterious smile, "Don't worry about this. During the time you were monitoring Chen Yi, we fished out the frozen Captain America in a place in the Arctic. He is currently recovering. I will take you to see it later." Nick Fury continued, with a hint of pride in his tone. Hearing the news, Hawkeye showed an expression of disbelief on his face. He opened his mouth wide and couldn't speak for a long time. This is simply incredible. Captain America is resurrected. This is simply unbelievable. So the most urgent task is to gather these people. Nick Fury said seriously. "Got it." Hawkeye and Black Widow answered in unison, and left without stopping. Looking at the two people leaving, Nick Fury stood in the office, looking at the scene outside the window, but his thoughts drifted away and muttered to himself, "I hope I don't have to call Danvers back." End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.